guys, call to order, Rankin City Council meeting, May 28th. Roll call, Mr. City Manager.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Ms. Underwood?
Here.
Mr. Exley?
Here.
Mr. Blackwell?
Here.
Ms. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Riley?
Here.
Tonight to give our invocation is gonna be Pastor David Reiner with the Maranatha Family Church. Come forward, Mr. Reiner. And remember to stay standing for the pledge.
Heavenly Father, thank you for both the honor and privilege of serving our community, most presently the city of Rankin. Thank you that we can serve under the guidance of your Spirit to lead our thoughts and lead our actions and even our words. We ask you to be with us in this place tonight and let all of those things abide. We pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We thank you, Pastor Reiner, for your time. Okay, I just understanding that we're adding something to the consent agenda, so I'm gonna request approval, to approve the agenda by adding, number 3 to the consent, and that is for Savannah River Utilities request approval of pay request number 3 in the amount of $228,073.50 for the Highway 21 sidewalk extension project.
Make a motion to approve adding item 3.
Got a motion by Ms. Riley, a second by Mr. Scott. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now, a motion's in order to approve the minutes from April 22nd, 2024. If anybody has anything they want to add, any changes?
No, but I'm just curious about this. It's like it has a funky typo. You know what I'm saying? What's up with that?
It's the software, but I'll make sure when I look at it, it looks fine, but when I print it, it does that. But
Isn't that weird? That's just weird. I was just curious.
Yes, ma'am.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Riley, a second by Ms. Underwood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Before I turn this over to our public hearing officer, Mr. Perkins, I just wanna make sure that everybody understands that we're obviously not voting on anything with this tonight. There's currently a ordinance that covers most of this. So tonight we'll just be asking some questions, getting an understanding, and then, I don't know whether we'll have a workshop or what we may do.
Yes, sir, there's one presentation prior to the public hearing.
To the president. I'm sorry. We have a presentation for our hero of the month. I apologize for that. This is our very first hero of the month presentation, Mr. City Manager.
Yes, sir, this is a new program. We wanted to recognize our first hero of the month. And before we do that, I have a short video that I would like to go ahead and turn over, see if I can put it up on the screen. We have somebody that would like to say something to everyone really quickly, if I can get them up, if this works the way it should. And this person will help us recognize, and I would like to introduce Lieutenant Colonel O'Shea to the room. It's your floor, ma'am. Can you not hear?
Being here.
I guess it would help if I turned my mic on, right? You're after you, ma'am.
Well, thank you guys for having me on today. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Ileana O'Shea. I'm Jimmy Morrell's boss. I currently live in Colorado, so we're the 2-hour time difference here, and I'm on my way to my son's baseball game. He's back there. Hey, Jimmy, say hi. His name is also Jimmy. Well, I'm super honored the chief asked me to do this for Jimmy today. I've known, and I don't know what you guys have said already because I couldn't hear, I've known Jimmy now for the past 5 years and have gotten to know him and his family a lot better here in the last 1 or 2. So it's truly an honor to be able to jump in and talk to you guys today and just tell you a little bit about Senior Master Sergeant Morrell. All right, so here we go. I'm going to read it off my phone here. Senior Master Sergeant Jimmy R. Morrell entered military service in July 2001 and is assigned to the 165th Airlift Wing as a Vehicle Maintenance Chief Enlisted Manager. After returning from basic training in Vehicle Maintenance School, Sergeant Morrell immediately became an asset to his unit. He is skilled in maintenance of fire trucks, 25,000 cargo loader, and diesel and gasoline engines. Sergeant Morrell transitioned to the Georgia Air National Guard from active duty following his assignment to Charleston Air Force Base. He has supported multiple deployments and contingencies all over the world, to include Kuwait, I believe Kazakhstan, Diego Garcia, and Korea. Most recently supporting the state of Florida after the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. Sergeant Morrell is a Georgia native, graduated from Effingham County High School in 2001. He enjoys spending time with his wife and their 3 children. He's an avid hunter, rifleman, and I put in here snake charmer. Since I get constant phone calls of him either getting a snake or the snake has bitten him. Education-wise for the military, he has attended Airman Leadership School, Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, the Senior Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, and he holds an associate degree in vehicle maintenance from the Community College of the Air Force. A few of his military assignments have been basic training, which is in Lackland, Vehicle Maintenance School, which is in Barksdale, Indiana, and Port Hueneme, California, and was also assigned in Korea and Charleston. And then his promotions include Airman in 2001, Airman First Class September 2001, Senior Airman January 2004, Staff Sergeant 2026, Tech Sergeant in 12, Master in 17, Senior Master Sergeant in 2021, and hopefully in the near future will get to pin him Chief as well, so that the Morrell family has 2 chiefs in the family. Also, it was super fun putting this together for Jimmy. I knew that if I had asked him to do it, he wouldn't have done a bio, so hopefully 98% of the things that I put in there are correct. We wanted it to be a huge surprise to him. I can't say enough about him and how much I've enjoyed working with him and getting to know his family this last couple of years.
And
Thank you.
Mr. Lynn.
I didn't cry.
I'm gonna turn my camera around.
I thought I was coming up here for something for him. I didn't come up 2 minutes ago.
Jimmy, Chief Morrell asked me to present this to you because I nominated you. As someone who grew up knowing I had an uncle who never came home from Normandy, and a brother-in-law who served 3 terms in the Tet Offensive in Vietnam, and someone who's prayed many times for you, I felt like that there was no one more worthy than you to be our first recipient. Congratulations.
My opinion was I'm not a big speaker, but I mean, I can't say thank you enough to everybody. Thank you so much, man. Especially thank you, my girl. She's been amazing, and there was my family. So, thank you.
So you guys have no, that, he had no idea. And he thought he was here for John.
I know.
I was going here for something for him.
Yeah.
Y'all don't have to stay for this boring meeting.
I think we are gonna head out.
Yeah.
Yes,
Do we
that
need
was
to-
the highlight.
And-
Thank you all
Yeah.
so much.
Thank y'all so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
They got me.
That's when government gets real.
So,
Government gets real.
Jonathan, I guess that was my Ron Burgundy moment. I was reading the teleprompter.
Tell him. I'll wait till the next meeting.
I feel like Master Sergeant Merle. I was surprised as he was, to hear from
Right.
Brandy.
Mayor and council, I appreciate that. Captain Thompson's gonna handle the rest of the meeting for me. We're gonna go to every office.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy the evening.
All right, guys, we're gonna get back at it. I'm gonna start over with what I was saying, before I turn this over to our public hearing officer. You know, this is not something that we're voting on tonight. It's not something that, you know, I just wanna really get some information on it. Obviously, we know what the ordinance is here. Obviously, that is something that, you know, when I start talking about things being pushed, you know, down the road and for this council to deal with it, we've had that happen. And, you know, in the case of picket fences and different things like that, well, this is just another one of those things that now that we're dealing with that has been an ordinance for a long time. So what we wanna make sure of is that we're fair to our community, number one, and that we hear you guys out. Obviously, you know, no animosity, we just wanna work through this thing, so we would like to hear, you know, what you guys gotta say, and at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to you, Ben.
Yes, sir. I'm calling opening a public hearing on the proposed amendments to the City of Rankin ordinances, specifically Chapter 90, which is zoning and growth management, Article 3, general provisions, Section 90-67 regarding prohibited uses in residential districts, Section 90-69 regarding single-family residential standards, Sections 90-72 through 90-87 regarding accessory structures and special use regulations, and Section 90-94, which is perimeter fence and wall standards and requirements, and Article 6 zoning districts, Sections 90-171 through 90-200 regarding zoning districts and uses. And, Mr. Lynn, has this been properly advertised?
Yes, sir.
All right, please go ahead.
Does anyone wanna come up and speak on behalf of this ordinance and this hearing?
And, Mr. Mayor, while we're doing that, I know just to give you guys and the public a heads up, we knew this was gonna be a lengthy ordinance, so what we did was we made sure the public hearing was on the agenda tonight, but the first reading is not. That will be at the next meeting on June 10th, and the second reading will be on June 24th. That gives an additional 2 times for public comment or revisions or comments between now and then.
That's smart, yeah. Anyone wanna come up and speak on it? Sir, if you'll just state your name and your address.
Yeah, my name is Zach Mindell, and I stay at 115 Howard Avenue. And it don't say specific. It's got a bunch of ordinance, cause I went to the planning and zoning meeting, and we had to discuss a few things about, and I think a lot of people don't really know what's really about to take place, or, cause I didn't even know. They just got about the zoning and stuff, in residential areas. So that's all I'm speaking about, the trucks and, you know, cause in our areas, most everybody drive trucks, you know, on that side of town, so Just like I was telling them, basically that section of Rankin is the only section with the most land is left. Everything else done sold out, somebody done bought it all up. All the families got land, 4, 5 acres. They don't have to park on the street, they can park in the yard. That's all I was speaking behalf.
And I think what Mr. Midell is concerned about is how this zoning will affect those that have, that in the trucking business, that have their trucks, that have operated these trucks for 20, 30, 35 years in these areas. How would that affect them by being in our R4 district? That's the district
Yeah.
we're located in.
Levi, do you remember when, the date that this ordinance was put into play, the original ordinance, do y'all know?
Okay, now the original one, they haven't approved. We haven't found.
The one that's on the books.
The one that's on the book now.
Mhm.
It's, I can't remember exactly, but it's probably back in the, I forget, late 19, but, what they did, they went back and they allowed owners, if the wife owned the tractor, she could take it home, if the husband owned it. Providing they had ample space to park it safely off the roadway.
I think the main thing is not people with acreage, it's the people that are in these neighborhoods that are parking them on the street or in their driveway.
But
That's
if it applies
the
to one,
issue.
it has to apply to all.
Yeah, we tried to, but one of the concerns was back then was, that didn't happen, like you said, on the side. Fact about it, we had an incident where an elderly couple was coming in from church late night. And the truck was parked with those wheels hard on the road. They couldn't see because of the car meeting them. They hit that. I'm trying to think it was.
That was in the neighborhood?
Yeah, it was in the neighborhood. And, but the big issue is we had some that would park across sidewalks, on sidewalks. And that was in some of this area because we didn't have sidewalks on the west side. The concern that we still had, when we started working on this last one that we started working on was these, some of these trucks parking, the setbacks on the houses are 15 in the R4. Well, you got that truck and, they're concerned about something fuel injection going off that would cause explosion. It's a rarity, but it could happen. What would happen to neighbors? We did have some complaint about the fumes and cranking up, and if you close the house and you don't have that space in those trees, they're just open, that's allowed. Sign. But we try to work with those that had acreage that could park them safely off the road and weren't 15, 20 feet from the neighbor's house.
How do you pick and choose?
That's the struggle.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can. I think if the ordinance is written and it applies to a property that's zoned a certain way, I don't think you can pick and choose.
Well, and I think like Kevin said, it was the lack of consistency over the years. People get caught up in this like Mr. Midell, but I know that I was telling Kevin today, back in 2018, we had over an acre and we were told by the city that his plumbing trucks, and they had nothing on them, they were just pickup trucks. There was 4 or 5 of them, they could not park in our yards anymore, and he went down to Goshen Road and rented a unit and had a place to park, and when we downsized, he spent over $800 a month parking his trucks down there at McCall Road, and we've always done that, because we were always under the impression that City of Lincoln wouldn't let us do it. Now, I didn't go riding around seeing who else was not doing it, because I didn't care, that was me. But, so I know that there's just been lack of consistency.
Well, but that ordinance, the only thing that I can remember about that ordinance, if those vehicles weren't tagged, if you had so many vehicles there and they weren't tagged, they had that was part of the ordinance.
Right.
Back about here, 3 years or less, we had a lot over here, and
near the ballpark somewhere, town trucks, and they just got, where they go down,
Mhm.
it looks like they were just bringing them in
Yeah.
and just a place to junk.
Yeah.
But, it's been inconsistent in some places because of, you didn't have an individual that go around
Mhm.
checking.
But we do have that now.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do have it, we got him hired now, but we didn't have that. That's just like some of the incidents that we had were encroachments on lanes.
Mhm.
So, you know, and the biggest concern is how do you take a man livelihood when he's been doing it for 30, 40 years?
So I don't think the intent is to take anyone's livelihood here. There are options for where to park those vehicles. There are lots that can be rented to park these trucks. No one is trying to take anyone's livelihood. We are trying to be consistent, I think, across the city. And none of us have a way to pick and choose who can and who can't. The ordinance is written the way that the ordinance is written. We do have a code enforcement officer, and I feel like we should be enforcing the ordinances. And not just this ordinance. We can't pick and choose which ordinances we're enforcing. I think that that's part of why we do have a majority new council, is the picking and the choosing in the past is no longer acceptable for the city of Lincoln. Those are
Like
my
I say,
thoughts.
if we go back, it's code enforcement has a lot to do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do have that officer.
Yeah.
And we never had code.
Well, and I think we need to let Mr. Midell know that there's not any of us that I think are gonna tell you tomorrow, we want
No.
you to do something, we're gonna.
No, we need to,
We're gonna be more than fair, and we're not gonna hurt you financially, that's not gonna be our.
That's not the intent, absolutely
We'll
not
sit
the
down and
intent.
figure out.
But we have to be very careful with the word grandfather and things like that, because
Yes.
it's like Randy said, if you do that, you've got to do it for everybody. The ordinance was written a certain way, and, you know, over time, we didn't have anybody doing code enforcement out there, and that's why some of these things happen. We couldn't see them, but, you know, I feel the same way she does. I know whatever we come up with has to fit everyone. You know, that's the main thing, and another thing that really makes me nervous is, you know, and obviously this is not on you, this is everybody that has trucks, because I grew up in the logging business. My family was loggers, my dad drove a truck, and we parked it in our backyard. But what I will say is, you know, we used to change the oil, and when I was little, we dug a hole, and we put that oil in the ground, and we covered up. You know, or we dumped it on something else, or had it in a big drum half full of water. Those things aren't allowed now, and I just, you know, the environmental impact is something that we've got to be real careful for as well, because these trucks leak, you know, and, so just things to think about. One of the things that I question, that I would like for everybody to think about, and this is how we keep everybody in order. Do the roads that are around you guys, where on 7th Street or your neighborhood there, does that road, does it have a weight limit?
Well, that particular road is designed for heavy equipment because they had like towers and development property, logging and all going, and between Howard and.
Mhm.
Well, now, I talked to Doug today with EMC, and Doug told me he was fairly certain that 7th Street probably has not been repaved yet.
That's correct.
And he said that so it probably does not meet the weight limits, but he said that the roads they're doing now, cause we're pulling up the roads and putting better base down, would meet those. But he said right now, the older roads would not.
We had one in there, and that was Howard Avenue.
Yeah,
And so-
well, and the last thing we wanna do is tell Mr. Midell that he can't drive a truck in there, but then we allow 50 dump trucks that are
Every
going
day.
somewhere else to work through there.
Yeah.
So, like Ms. Riley said, it's all, it's not an all or nothing, it's all, so
Well,
we have to.
and there's another factor too. We have residential, we have commercial, and residential is for families, it's residents. So this is where you, walk your dog, your kids are on the bicycles, and it's harder for these trucks to stop. we're getting a lot of complaints about trucks in general on Ninth Street. But my thing is, we rode down there today just to look, Sonny and I did, and there was 2 kids came by on a dirt bike, having a good time, but, you know, these trucks that are flying down these roads wouldn't be able to stop for these kids. So there's a safety issue with a lot of this, so I don't, Kevin and I talked about that, what's the answer? Because, I mean, we don't wanna hurt you either, Mr. Miller, at the end of the day, so.
I think originally this thing started in a subdivision somewhere, and nobody never came. Nobody never came.
Right. The complaint
No,
started.
it was in a subdivision. I don't know, one of these subdivisions right here.
Well, and I think it started trying to do codes, cause I'm on Kessler Street, and we bought the house my husband grew up in, we completely renovated it, it's a small house. We're very happy there, but we're increasing that neighborhood, and now people are buying houses, they're flipping those houses, we're increasing the neighborhood. I do not want semi-trucks parked next to me, I do not, it would deplete my property value, it would hurt my property value, so those are issues. And I'm like, but what's fair? It's like Randy said, how do we choose? We're just in a hard spot.
And I think, Ms. Taylor, you have that in your area as well.
Yeah.
Where there's, you know, a small amount of acreage on homes there, not in a subdivision, but yet people are parking trucks in there, so it's,
And working on the trucks.
and working on them, which, you know,
So, but I mean, I feel for them because they have acreage.
yeah.
And acreage is different to me. And it's not a typical neighborhood. Now, what y'all got, 2.5?
I got 5 acres.
5 acres, see,
5
there we go,
acres.
5 acres. I mean,
Mr. Johnson across the street,
Yeah,
how many's
I think he got about 3.5, so.
so
I
we
mean,
do need to come up with a solution.
But I know Mr. Johnson across the street, he has like 6 trucks parked over there, and it's like he has a shop. I don't know what that is, so, I mean, he's got a lot parked over there and a shop, so.
That is something else you need to think about. If you allow his 1 truck in his yard, you're allowing his 6 trucks in his yard,
Yeah.
unless you put something specific in place.
And if you're allowing someone to work on 1 truck,
You're
then you
allowing
could
them
pretty
to
much
work on
open a
10.
shop without a business license. and-
Absolutely can.
Yeah, I agree.
Slippery slope.
So for the first reading, would you like us to present a few options on maybe how we could do a permit for a residential property? And would you want to limit on the number of trucks per residential property so that nobody, you know, thinks anybody's running a business out of their house, or to go ahead and eliminate all that in ordinance form, as well as, you know, not impacting the people that are currently needing that in their use? And now I know that some areas HOAs are gonna get into an issue because we got to say it in R4, we can't say
Right.
on Howard, we
Well,
have
I
to get
think
specific.
a permitting process is definitely something we could look at.
Yeah, but I want you to think about, and then I want you to think about the permitting process where you have, let's just say, in Michelle's neighborhood, okay? Let's just, you know, if we went to, if we went down Ninth Street, or we went down 7th Street, and we asked, you know, if Levi went out and asked, you know, all the neighbors there, and everybody said, you know, we're fine with it, it's okay. So they're able to get a permit because nobody's really against it, okay? So
They're
one of the
okay
things.
with it today. They sell their house tomorrow and that neighbor's not okay with it.
Right,
Then
and
we have
this
to
is,
deal with that.
right, and this is another problem that I have. So what happens if Michelle, has a, you know, ornery neighbor that wants to get his truck permitted, and he goes down to Michelle's house and says, you need to sign this so I can get permitted. Well, now you're putting people in certain positions, so when you start asking neighbors, you know, hey, can I get permitted, it becomes, that becomes a factor as well. So I just wanna make sure, Mr. Lynn, whatever we do, we have good communication on it, and that we really think through this, you know, all the way, because, you know, I can see both points that Ms. Riley has and Ms. Taylor. But I see Ms. Riley's point right now with the current ordinance. If we're gonna adjust something based off of land size, then I get it, but.
And one of my biggest things I noticed with the city of Rankin and even Effingham County, we don't look in what this does in the future. As warehouses become more prevalent, we're gonna have more truck drivers, and we're gonna have more of an issue. And I'm telling you, I don't want them on my street. And I don't think it's up to me or Michelle or anybody to have to tell my neighbor that I'm gonna be the bad neighbor and I'm gonna be the bad guy and say no. So there, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't mind Mr. Mydell's trucks, I really don't. And his
Because they're
neighbors
not on your
don't.
street.
That's right.
Because they're not on my street, so I'm just saying, I don't know what the answer is,
Yeah,
Mr.
but-
Mydell.
I deal with trucks all day long on 9th Street, so they don't bother me. Cause I know that's gonna be the main corridor. I don't know whether y'all understand the dynamic. You got warehouses going out there. 9th Street gonna be wide.
So, would,
Over time.
would you guys be in
Has to.
favor if we drafted something,
Yeah.
but
Mine-
also, one of the requirements was a minimum size of your lot where you could park a truck?
Oh, I
Does
see.
that make sense? If you- Yeah, I don't know what
You
it
have
looks
to
like,
have
but
2
that's just kind
acres
of.
at least.
And absolutely is something we need to consider.
So,
and-
we can have something out to you guys probably by the end of the week to
Yeah, cause
start
if you
going
could
back
do
and
something
forth with the
2 acres or greater, I think that's very
and-
few houses.
And not be visible,
That's, that, I think
you
that's.
know, not be
that's a-
visible to the street, whether you put up a, you know, you approve a 8-foot fence or whatever you approve for that, you know, and then obviously, you have to be real careful about the, work in the yard.
That's correct.
Doing the work in the yard, that's something that you've gotta be real careful, cause that's,
I don't think that should be allowed.
no,
period.
because we, you know, we have.
Can't service those
it-
trucks
it's-
in those yards.
Yeah, because you get to the point of where you got people out here paying.
The environmental impact.
Yeah, and you've got people that's having to follow rules and directions and things like that.
Well, but, and what's fair, because you've got Scott Simmons who owns Quality Service, he's paid the price of business sometimes expensive, I know that, cause I've helped my husband run a business for years. It's expensive. Scott's got a business front, he pays a mortgage, he pays property taxes, and he has to answer to the EPD when he flushes radiators or retrieves oil or anything else, disposal of it, so we need to be careful with all that, and, it's growing pains. It's
Yeah,
growing
and Jonathan,
pains.
I think that stuff needs to be included into that draft, that we talk about maintenance and visibility and those things.
Yes, sir.
But Mr. Mydell, for the record, I'm not pro widening 9th Street, cause I think it's gonna displace 4th and 5th generation reality.
I think it's coming.
I agree.
Oh, no, there's no, Mr.
I
Mydell,
think
you
it's
are
coming.
right.
It's coming.
It's not coming anytime
No,
soon.
but
It
it's
might not be.
been in
Yeah,
conversation. That's right.
Cause I don't think they're gonna build all them warehouses and set them all the way down to 119 and 95. That's not gonna happen.
You're right.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mydell, for
Thank
coming.
you,
We
sir.
appreciate it. Does anybody on council or anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
I know we talked about, trucks parking, but one of the other things on some of these ordinances, Jonathan, just as a mention, 90 27 zoning districts, activities and things permitted in manufacturing. I asked Terry some time ago to check into what we could do with codes and ordinances for toxins, forever chemicals, and some combustibles. I've not heard back on her, but I think it's, important that we see where she's at with that. And I've also talked to other people in the county, and they're also willing to come in line with us, and so the county where it borders us would be acclimating with us, so if you could check on that.
Yes, ma'am.
And then also L1 and H1, I was questioning those setbacks of 35 and 15 and 50.
And that was my concern too, especially if it already abuts up to a residential, area. And it's rezoned or it's been, cause that's the main concern we have with some of the
That's right.
commercial or industrial areas already been approved here recently is the buffer zone. And those, especially up against residential homes.
Yes, sir.
And I was gonna call Terry today and ask her questions, so I'm sorry, she was out.
She is out. She will be back on Thursday.
Then on our page 17, it would be, duplexes in single-family districts. That sounds like an oxymoron. But number 2 says, the exterior of a duplex shall appear as a single dwelling unit and shall comply with design standards. Is this discussing maybe a mother-in-law suite? I mean, maybe that, I don't know what,
No,
I don't
no,
think that is accessory use.
No, I think that, and I think we could probably word that a little better, because, you know, as you get up to like an R8, the higher density, that's where a duplex would come into a residential unit zone, not an R4 or an R2 where the lot sizes are bigger. So that it's just saying that if you see the front of a house, you have to look really hard to know it's a duplex. Like, it should not appear as you can ride down the road quickly at 55 and know that's a duplex. It's gotta maintain a certain aesthetic to be one, but we can work
yeah,
on that.
C may just need to be better worded. I just caught that, I think that's all I had. And I called her today to clarify that she wasn't in, so
Yes, ma'am.
that's all I had.
Anybody else? Mr. Perkins?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did.
Sorry,
have-
I apologize.
I'm sorry, I did have more. Do we really want to, food and beverage processing, I'm assuming exclude slaughterhouses, we can't have those in city limits, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I'm trying to get to the use table. I don't-
Page 31.
Section 9.
Must meet noise and odor suppression performance standards.
Yeah, we do not, I mean, we don't have a slaughterhouse as a
Or would
permitted use on
allow.
our table, that's correct.
And then, 90-54 gas stations, that, has to do with proximity codes overall.
Yes, ma'am.
Now that's it, I promise.
Any other comments from the public, any other questions? or
The only other one I had was 90-47, automotive repair service and parts, about the outdoor storage of vehicles.
Yes.
Do we have that in the code now, and if so, is it being enforced, or do you know, Ms. Blaine?
We are working very diligently to enforce that one. I know, it is in the code now.
I thought it was,
It is in
and
the
I
code
know.
now.
Yeah.
And, you know, certain business levels have had certain assumptions that they could operate under for a while, but we are diligently working towards getting the junk cars off the right of way, getting them screened, getting them removed
Yeah, we're
at several
trying to-
locations along Highway 21.
If we're trying to visually improve the looks of the city, and this is one of the eyesores, I know some of them are right on, these businesses are on 21, which is zone commercial, but, appropriate fence would be appropriate to hide those. Some of the vehicles have been there for months, I know.
Yes, sir, we are absolutely on that right now.
There was another one on some things that zone and planning went over, including, we need to look more closer to, at, proprietary businesses like pawn shops, title pawn and all that.
So they did, and I did ask Mr. Milner, the chair of our planning board, to be here, because in case we needed any additional information. They are recommending to you guys to allow, I believe it's adult entertainment establishments, pawn shops, tattoo parlors, as opposed to just being a flat-out prohibited use, being conditional uses where they have to apply, go through approval from planning and zoning board and to you all. I mean, that's their recommendation. You don't have to go with that. I will.
Well, basically, the problem with that, you gotta have, it's better for you to put some kind of standards in place.
Right.
Because if somebody comes in and you just trying to know, it's legal in the United States. Well, guess what? You're in court. And if you're not established, and they'll allow home rule to establish, ordinance, regulation, and approve it. If you got those in place, then your chances are better of be having to deal with them and control them.
And the city of Rankin also is out of space. And do we really want to use the valuable space we have left for retail business on proprietary lenders and these kinds of things? It needs to be the overall question. I mean, maybe there's a survey we need to have, I don't know, but I'm thinking no, but I mean, proprietary lenders especially.
So I think I understand where Mr. Scott was going. If you do have some sort of provision that would allow something to at least go through the process legally at the end of the day if they sued you, that doesn't mean your regulations can't be stringent, such as they have to be standalone buildings, or they have to be on a lot of at least 2 acres abutting Highway 21. You can get real specific to do that, where if somebody wanted to come in with a, millions of dollars to try to thumb their nose at you, they would have every opportunity, but they still have to go through that process. They end up being public hearings with public comments, as well throughout that process, so for all of those uses, if you would like.
So you're saying the chances are more likely to be a lawsuit if we're prohibiting them?
Certain uses,
For sure.
that you get into freedom of speech, with some of those uses, yes ma'am. Now, I'm not saying I agree with having them at all, but it does, from a legality standpoint, I'll ask Ben to chime in if he has
Well,
anything.
it's
It's
just-
better to at least have them allowed in some sort of obscene regulation area, as opposed to just prohibit them altogether. They're very similar to the mobile home debate. You should allow them somewhere, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be easy to get through, so.
Well, you will get backlash if you talk
I-
about
well,
adult
it's-
entertainment, I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
That ain't happening.
Right.
You get backlash from me.
Well, and the thing is there's groups out now, and I think Ben, we might have talked about this at one point. There's groups out there that are in other states that are actually suing, going through people's ordinances
Right.
and having, lawsuits against cities for not having things in place.
Right, yeah, sign regulations are a good example.
Yeah, sign regulations and things like that, they're starting to, say, okay, we can make a quick 50,000 here or whatever, and so we've gotta protect ourselves from that. Thank you.
So would you guys
Take
like
your
us to kind of do
recommendation.
the same thing there as we are with the trucks, kind of give you some draft language to start bouncing back and
Yes.
forth? So
Yes,
let's,
please.
and we'll have about 4 weeks to get it hammered out by that second reading.
That'd be perfect.
Sounds like a workshop.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, come on.
Okay, Tim Milner. So I'm here to speak of some of the language that we discussed on the adult entertainment. So what we did was make the recommendation to put it into a CU status, which is a more restrictive status. Instead of saying, nope, can't have it anywhere, there's a lot more checks and balances that need to happen versus some of the other, things. So we're not saying we condone it, we're not for it. We're just saying if you want to go that route, there's a lot more checks and balances you have to go through before it can just be,
Right.
handed over for someone to do it. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Um, I have one other, I'm sorry. It's what I got elected to do, folks, I'm sorry. I'm not. There was one about, okay, storage of certain items in residential zoning districts. The proposed language prohibits the parking or storing of power-driven construction equipment, used lumber or metal, firewood, or any other miscellaneous scrap or savable material in quantity on less than 5 acres in size. The board recommends that this type of storage be prohibited unless the storage is on the side or rear of the primary structure and not visible from the street. So I'm reading this as you can do it, as long as you have it in your backyard.
It's not visible from the street.
So do we really want a sizable collection of metal and stuff in residential areas?
Was there
It
acreage
does not,
attached to
it's-
that?
A property's 5 acres, less than 5 acres, so if it's over 5 acres, that provision does not apply.
Okay.
Now, allowing it, something like that to allow this, you would allow somebody to come in with Mini X or something to go in their backyard, because that's the power-driven construction equipment. So I think that there's it's not just the material to look at what they were trying to do there, so
But it can't be visible.
So basically, if my neighbor wanted to start a, metal collection program in his backyard, as long as it was.
If you can't see it,
then,
he
And
could do
it's
it.
5 acres.
no,
No,
it's,
less
no,
than
they,
5.
no.
Oh,
They
less.
recommended deleting the 5 acre requirement.
They recommend deleting the 5
Yes.
acre, no.
Why, no, I would think that the
Tim?
5 acre.
I'm back. So the reason for this was that whole paragraph, there's a lot of gray area. For one, firewood. I mean, and we're talking just a small amount of firewood you cannot store per the current city ordinances. And I can probably guess that a lot of us have a little piece of firewood that we like to have a little bonfire out back. This prohibits it from being able to do that.
Mona, what page?
Why can't
This
we
was an
take
email
firewood
from
out of
Terry
it?
that she
Well,
sent.
we recommended that we delete,
Well, I'd be out of coordinates, cause,
Yeah.
I have tons of
I would
firewood.
just say remove
Right.
firewood,
Firewood.
but if
Michelle, you
you're,
and
but if
I-
you're starting a business on
Remove
2 acres of
firewood.
property, you can't have all that
So
firewood.
the wording could
Shouldn't have,
be
you're
better.
running, that's not a
The
business,
wording
you're running out of
definitely
space,
changed.
yeah.
I vote
Correct.
that you guys back up, fix the wording and bring it back.
and,
take the
and the
firewood.
other
Fix the
thing
wording.
was, if you're going to have these things in your property below 5 acres, and that's why we looked at deleting 5 acres, cause, you know, let's face it, he has 4.74 acres, he's not quite at 5, he's got firewood, he's got metal, he's got this and that. So what we said was, let's treat this like an RV situation, and that was another recommendation for the tractor trailers. It has to be behind the main structure, has to be a 7-foot opaque fence, that way it's not visible from the street, okay? Same thing in this case
But
here.
Mona's right, you get into a neighborhood situation where someone decides, okay, now I'm just gonna have a junkyard in my backyard, there's nothing we can do to stop that at that point.
And this
And
says
it's not
scrap
just
and
about-
savable material.
So it's not just about the material itself, it's about the
You better
size
hire another
of the
code
lot,
enforcement person then,
the
because.
size of the lot, how much stuff
Right.
have you stored, and then you get into a rodent issue or something like that, going over to your neighbor who you can literally touch their window from
So
your
the
window.
idea is to make sure that that is now inside a fence.
Just because you
So-
can't see it doesn't mean it's not a problem,
Right.
given the space limit.
Mhm.
So it does attract
So I'm just giving you
other
what we
things.
discussed.
So,
in our-
so,
It needs to be rewritten.
so Brandy, if
Not
you,
acceptable,
if
I
you,
guess.
if you take firewood out,
Mhm.
and then you keep the 5 foot, you're gonna limit those
5
properties,
acres.
or 5
5
acres. There's not too many 5 acre
Yeah.
properties
Yeah.
in this
I
city.
agree.
So, I mean, if you put that back, take the firewood out, I feel like you pretty much reduce that down to,
Right.
you know.
And I
Two
know,
streets.
I know a lot of you guys live in HOAs, so these things would never affect you. But David could speak to some of my neighbors he's had to go visit, and what kind of a nightmare that ordinance would be for Mona and her neighbors.
Yeah, but Jonathan, didn't you say that the city overrides the HOA?
Every time.
So if you take the 5 acre out of it, and you go to 0.25 acres, and somebody can put up an opaque fence and put a metal business in their backyard,
Their HOA isn't gonna matter anymore.
their HOA is not gonna matter.
That's correct.
So what I'm saying is that
The
could
city said they
happen
could.
in those small yards if you allowed it reading like it reads.
Yep.
So,
Well, we got a lot of evaluating
Yes.
and talking it out, so.
We can take, we'll draft something there, we will remove the firewood part and have that go forward.
okay. All right. Ben?
And just while you guys are okay, the memo that Terry sent, just while we're on them, you guys are okay with the special use, car wash being a special use only? That's another recommendation they had. Sorry, they changed it from a special use to a conditional use. That would be another one of those where they come to you guys with certain standards, to get approved through the public hearing process. So, okay, that's good, and then, the other one, they said that, auto repair, service, and parts. The board recommended the language be reworded to state that storage is only permitted on the side or rear of the lots, and that's what we just talked about, so that's gonna be a separate section. We can word that in, to not go against anything that we've talked about tonight, so we can word that in and try to get all that out to you guys and the planning board, so, you know, out of respect to them, they can see what we're going back and forth with by the end of the week, so.
So is there a limit on the size, on the amount of how many cars can be stored by acreage?
I'm not certain, I can take a look.
Because I mean, I'm just saying that because some of these shops have a half acre and they've got 15 cars, 17 cars sitting out around their business.
We need to do a better job of making sure that they're also wholly within that piece of property, not on anybody else's property, not in the right of way. That they're all properly tagged.
Yeah.
You know, some of them, you know, I know a couple of shops have had people they abandon their cars, so they don't know what to do with them, well, unfortunately, that's not our problem.
derelict vehicles,
Yeah.
and that's, you know.
So Jonathan, the other thing to keep in mind there, you've got 2 different classifications of vehicles at an auto repair. Ones that are cycling in and out within a week, and others that are stored greater than 7, 10 a year. So So that was the other thing that we made the recommendations, for that as well.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
My turn.
Your turn.
My name's Lou Reed. I live at 315 Windmill Drive. In the single-family residential standards, the 88 houses in Winsong Phase 1 are all for single residential family homes. When Winsong Phase 2 was adopted, and when it was planned, it was for R4 single-family housing. Well, it has turned into 58 rentals. It has brought every one of our 88 property values down.
Did you know that?
They are all 58 leases. They are lease purchase homes. They are not lease purchase, they are lease homes.
How does that happen?
58. That's what we would like to know as an HOA.
How did that happen?
How do you stop?
Well, when D.R. Horton came in here, they never mentioned that because they came before us with, zone planning.
So they have approval to
And
build.
I don't know that you can, they're building houses.
Single
We-
family.
They have
We don't
approval to
have any
build.
ordinance that says, and I don't know that we can, that you can't rent your houses. Now, an HOA can have certain regulations that say only a certain percentage can be rental. If I remember right, I do remember them getting up saying that their intention was that they would be owner occupied.
That's what I.
That's what I remember. I don't know legally if there's a way
So
to
if
hold
they,
it.
if they
We've
misrepresented
struggled with that.
what they were building within the city limits of Rankin that we approved, then they misrepresented themselves.
Well,
Right, we
I
need
don't think
to-
there's any
We have
code
it.
that says you can. I mean, if I went to build a house
We've
over on
struggled
the
with
corner,
that for years.
and decide to
We-
rent it, you
we
can't
know
stop
that.
it.
If they stood
We would love
before
to have
previous
these
council
house bills.
and we vote, or council voted based off of how they represented themselves, tell me we don't have some recourse.
Well, like you said, and we permitted them based off of what they said in
Exactly.
here.
Yes.
So how do you?
There's got-
And
there has
when
to be
David
some
signs off on the
recourse there.
permit, he doesn't know you never know who's gonna buy it, so it just says,
Well-
oh, D.R. Horton building it, we
Well,
sign off on it.
I
do
know
inspection.
that David didn't know because David, you remember this, David? He told me, he asked him, he said, how are you gonna do these? You gonna sell them and then build some more? And they said, oh no, we're building all 58 because we're gonna rent them now. So
Yes.
David didn't even know.
You can't,
That's,
when they come in to get a building permits for that subdivision, and they come in and say, we're gonna build them to sell, then I have to take them for their word that they're gonna build them to sell. There's nothing that
It's not just
stops
you
them.
that took them at their word, this, the
But-
council took them
What
at
I'm
their
saying
word,
is-
planning and zoning took
But
them
there's
at their
nothing
word.
there's nothing that says that they
Our
can't
whole
just turn around and
subdivision,
flip them into.
Took
it.
our
them
whole
at their word.
subdivision took them at
They
their
have the
word.
right to do that.
but that's a,
All right,
that's
well,
a,
we're
that's a,
gonna-
that's a.
we're gonna take
I
care of
think
that.
that's an attorney
You got it.
answer that he has to work with, because I come here today and tell you I'm gonna build a house, it's all for, I can't tell you I'm not gonna sell it 2 years down the road. If my job said I need to leave and go to California,
That's different, this is an
Yeah, right.
intentional misrepresentation
Well-
of what they were gonna do with that neighborhood.
but
You can't tell me
you
different.
never know.
You can't tell me different if there's 58 units that went from residential to.
I'm
I'm gonna
speaking
tell you
as
about
a
these
homeowner.
developers, some of them, excuse me, some of them are sold before they completed development, to another developer.
Mhm.
So what the guy got approved, he can get on the plane and he's gone, he can sell it.
So I think we need to take this offline, Lou, and have some conversations with Ben
Okay.
and things like that, but
All right.
Is there anything?
I
that
can
we
promise
And I'm
you-
just speaking as a
I'm mad
homeowner,
as hell about it, just
not
so
as
you
the
know.
fire chief, but
Cause
as a
I didn't know,
homeowner.
I'm mad.
But if there's anything out
Can
there
we
we
do
can do with it,
anything
we
to
need
change
to do
the
it.
code?
I agree with you.
I'm gonna work with Ben. Ben wasn't here. Ben wasn't the attorney at the time, so you and I are gonna, I told him we'd get together and.
Let's
go
have some
through those
conversations
improvements.
and we're gonna have to table this until we can.
Okay.
And is there any way we
I don't
can?
know that I have
because-
anything, I don't know that I have anything to do with this ordinance.
because
It doesn't really have anything to do with the
Doesn't-
ordinance
just
other
saying.
than how do we put a protection in place so that it
Okay.
doesn't happen again.
I can remember specifically that evening, cause that was probably one of my first meetings. Number one, I got voted down because I wanted to put a playground and green space in, and nobody else thought that was wise.
They do
but I
have a
would-
playground.
Huh?
They do have a playground.
Good for him. And then, I asked him about the HOA, I was hitting him hard, and I even wanted to spray jets, the fountains in the pond to keep mosquitoes down. So I was on D.R. Horton, cause I know what they do over there in Bluffton. So they were very specific that they would make sure there was an HOA in place, but I think there was discussion in that conversation that really, once all the houses were sold, the HOA would be out of their control anyway. So we'd have to go back and look at that, cause I remember having an HOA
It
discussion.
should work in reverse, actually, once they sell their houses, then it's no longer declarant
occupied or operated, and then the residents should be in
Right, that's what they
control.
were telling me, that, you know, that there would be an HOA in place, but it would be part of the Windsong 2 HOA. And now let me ask you this,
There's been no approach to us.
well, listen, are they a majority property owner in the Windsong development now? Do they have a stronger vote now because they own 58 houses and the people in Windsong 1,
On 88.
I mean, there's a lot of issues
It can
there.
depend on what the covenants say, they could retain.
Are they part of the same HOA now?
There's been no talk or discussion of becoming part of our HOA.
They were supposed to be.
So we need to go back through and take a look at the minutes and everything, and then
Thank you.
We have some work to do.
As a
Yes.
homeowner, thank you.
And they did put in a playground, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Ben?
Yes, sir. Any other comments before we close this hearing?
That was still-
I
that was still
wouldn't even
above the
ask
hearing.
that anymore, I would just say we're closing.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I would call this, public hearing to close.
All right, thank you. A lot of good talk there. I guess, you know, we need to look at having some workshops to reel this stuff in. So I wanna move on to the consent agenda. If nobody has any questions, there's a motion in order to move forward with the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Riley, a second by Ms. Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right. So we'll move on to new business. We're voting on the second reading, to approve the variance filed by Stan and Louise Reiner to encroach into the side and front setbacks for the house located at 123 Sweetwater Drive. Property is owned by the Reiners and is zoned R4. Anybody have any questions or comments on that?
Yes, I wanna hear from David.
David, will you come up?
He even fixed his hair.
You weren't here last time, so I wanna hear.
Right. So I'll just give you the background. Mr. Reiner came in for a building permit for a new home, Sweetwater Circle. Showed me a site plan, how the house was gonna be located on the property. So in the conversation right away, just so you know, because of the shape of the lot and the size of the house, I had concern right away. We legally can take this in. It shows that it meets all setback. So legally, I take it in. And I know on 3 occasions, I informed him or asked him it would be a good idea to get a land surveyor to know exactly where to flag the corners of the property so they would fit on the lot because of the odd shaped lot, and there was no landscaper, no surveyor pins that could be found on the lot. So that was a problem. So I know on 3 occasions I brought it up to Mr. Reiner, that I think it'd be wise to get a land surveyor. And he just chose not to, which is fine. And so at the end of the project, about a year ago, I've been trying to push to get as-bills on all houses in Rincon before they get a CO. And so we did put it into effect about a year ago. So I had Mr. Reiner get an engineer and do an as-bill. So when the as-bill come back, I think you have it in front of you, he's encroaching on 1, 2, 3, 4 points on the property. 2 on the front. Front setback is 35. He's got 34 and 30. And the left side, looking at the front of the house, it's 13.2 and 11 feet, that's supposed to be 15. The right side back corner, that's a cement patio, Cement patios do not have to meet zoning, so that one does not count.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yep,
So now we've got a patio.
right.
What happens when
A
they want to
cement
cover?
pad, a cement
What
pad.
happens when they want to cover it?
And it's a problem, they can't.
Okay.
So when they come in for a building permit, I'm gonna require an as-built or something showing me, or I have this as-built on file because I have it in cloud permit,
They could cover.
and I can just look it up.
No,
So-
no, because it's.
They wouldn't be able to, they could cover it, but they couldn't cover it to the point where it doesn't meet setbacks.
Okay,
Which
so
is-
now, could we go back to that last, slide? That last one that.
Yes, ma'am. This one?
Yes. Now, David, I wanna ask you something. Does that show the correct setbacks?
So that dotted line that goes around,
Those are correct.
that's the setback line from the property line.
And that is the correct ones?
And that's supposed to be correct, 15, 15, 25, and 35.
Okay, who set that house inside those lines and handed you that for approval?
I don't know who drew that for him, or he drew it himself, I don't know.
Okay, so we know that because of that, and that's in permitting documents, that he had the correct setbacks. Now, I've got a construction background, I've done plumbing slabs for 50 years. The first thing I'll tell you is that, I know we were told, and something didn't sit right at that last meeting with me, that he was missing a corner marker. I called, EMC and I said, tell me what happens when you're missing a corner marker. Well, and the same thing I would do, cause I've built houses, you get your surveyor out there, and this is what happens. They use recorded plats in other corners in the field to calculate and reset the missing corner. Now, that's the proper way to do that, that wasn't done, obviously, but I don't know how one corner missing makes all those others out, and I'm telling you, I don't think that house would have ever fit in those setbacks.
That marker was across the street,
There
right
were-
over there.
Yeah, there was no marker, there was no markers on the property.
But you hire a
What-
surveyor to come in and do it.
What came to my knowledge later, because of
If you're
the,
building.
because of the angle, the rounded part of the sidewalk, we talked a lot about that. And I'm not a surveyor, and I'm not an engineer, so I would have no idea where these boundaries are. That's why my first word to anybody is hire a land surveyor.
Well,
Exactly.
and I wanna say this, it's kinda like Ms. Riley said a while ago. You have to be careful when you go out and say that this is okay. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna have people build to what they wanna build to, and then come and ask you later to adjust.
Okay.
So,
I've got another question
Yeah.
though. Cause he came before you wanting setbacks, and he didn't get all of it, he only got 5 foot, right? Didn't he want a setback easement, didn't he want his setbacks
And
changed?
that was way before me, I don't know what happened, there was something with Lamisha Kelly that was done.
And they only gave him a few feet. So my question is now, if he'd gotten his full variance he'd asked for originally, that house would have set in. No,
I'm not sure,
we don't know.
I would have no idea.
So,
So,
the general concrete in Pembroke was the one that drew these plans, correct?
Right.
They're now out of business.
That's not my problem.
I'm just giving you information.
yeah.
But the concrete guy did that? Not a
Yes.
surveyor?
So this
The
definitely
original
says-
drawing.
Survey of the
Let them-
property
let
signed
them-
and stamped by state of Georgia certified land surveyor. The submittal requirements require that.
Mr. Ryan's here, he can,
And just while he's coming up, it does, in Ms. Lewis's staff report, the original variance was granted in 2019.
That was the 5 feet.
That was the 5 feet, yes, sir.
So then we knew that was the case, and then we continued to build bigger.
That's what it appears, yes, sir.
I'm telling you that,
Okay.
looking at, that house would have never fit in those setbacks. I mean,
That was a 15-foot setback on both sides, or both of the things. But on the plot, it had 25, but the covenants have said that if you had a road in between them two houses, then it would be 25 feet. We went through that with the other variance.
It was on the corner lot.
35.
Because it's on a corner lot.
35.
35, the front setback
35
from
on
each,
the
each
front.
road. But you gotta be, front setback from each road.
It'd be 35.
For
It should
zoning.
be 35.
So it would be, if you were on a corner lot, it would be 35 and 35. Yeah, but this isn't a corner lot. This-
It's a curve.
It's not.
It's clearly, it's
So does he
clearly,
get 35
frontage.
feet?
What's that?
So what's
Is
the
it 35?
this?
What is it?
This
He's
document says 35 feet.
He's missing the 35 on the as-built. On that, he said he meets it. That's the original survey that he gave me.
And that was at
So the
35,
dotted
and
line
that was
is-
at 35 feet.
The dotted line is the setback line.
So they said on this that they met it at 35 feet,
Right, all of it. Right,
all of it.
Right.
Okay.
That just, when you got the as-built, then you find out exactly where the property ended up. Let me just add something. Because of us going electronic now with everything happening with the houses, I'm in talks right now with Terry. I came up with a plan. We're gonna change all this. This isn't gonna happen again. We're gonna get we're gonna get as-built as the foundations are being framed off. So this is probably gonna see the last one you ever see.
Well, listen, what needs to happen is we also need to, now it's gonna be more expensive to build houses in Lincoln because of this, because you need to get a surveyor to do this. Correct?
Oh, yeah.
And we
Survey.
did- Because we never in the city of Lincoln made it a code that you had to hire a surveyor, you could go out there and do whatever and guess, you know, or just pull your strings.
Right.
And I think now we're just gonna have to make it where you can say, no, now code says you have to hire a surveyor.
Well, we have implemented it as a department, and I think we have the right to do that as an as-built, if we want an as-built. So we implemented it as a department a year ago, which we never had that. And at least if we get one at the end, we have an idea if it's encroaching or not. But that also needs to change.
So from this date, so now you're saying our code says you have to have a surveyor do this.
Yes, we implemented that as a department.
Is it in our code?
It will be in the new UDO, it will be codified in there as well.
And that was implemented.
It was implemented June
In
1,
June.
23.
And we had already started building in November of,
Yeah,
of, 23.
22.
22.
The setbacks were approved on December 27, 2022. And then this was implemented. And hey, if it's a breakdown and my husband did not hear him, maybe I should have been there, I don't know. But the first we heard about the as-built was when it was getting towards the end of a year that we had been in process building the house.
So you
Let me
just-
say something. So, no matter as-built, no as-built, the zoning regulations are 35, 25, and 15, right?
Right.
So no matter whether I required an as-built or not, you're supposed to follow those setbacks, right?
Okay, but here's.
So
the
I would've never
situation
caught
we're
it
in.
if I didn't get as-built. That's what it's coming
Ms.
down
Riley?
to.
So the situation that we're in is we have a couple who has a home that has been built and they would like to live in their home.
Yeah.
All of the rules were not followed, fine, or things weren't marked out the way that they should have been. My concern is, if we grant this variance, how do we protect ourselves in the future from anybody just building a home however they want to? I don't think that this was maliciously done. I think mistakes were made. And that happens from time to time. I don't think anybody's here to tell these people they can't live in their home.
Right.
So,
But I do.
I
agree
just
with
wanna
that.
make sure that we are covered. Jonathan, how do we address our ordinances to make sure that this does not happen again, that we have all of the documentation we need up front? Requiring a surveyor sounds like a good first step. Obviously, when they started, we didn't have that requirement, and let's face it, 3, 4, 5 years ago, when they started thinking about building their home, things were not as stringent as they are now. Will it cost a little bit more money to build your home in the city limits of Rankin? Maybe, but at least we know it'll be done right. That's where I think we are. I don't think that we need to go over and over and over
I just follow.
the mistakes made
I-
here.
I just
Let's
follow-
just acknowledge that they
What do-
were
what do you
made
do at this
and
point
figure out
anyway?
how to get these people in their
Yeah,
home.
Well,
I
what do you
just,
do
I
with
just
this one?
follow, I just follow the regulations that are in, that's always been in place, and that's what I'm concerned about. And I know where you're going, Ms. Riley, I think we need to get something put in there, but there was obviously something there.
And we need to make sure it doesn't happen again.
That's all we just
Yeah.
need to make sure it doesn't
And
happen
we are
again
doing,
and
we
figure
are,
out how to get them
believe
in
me,
their home.
diligently gonna change the system.
Right.
Cause the riders were dependent on the contractors to do their job and do it correctly. They didn't go out and mark corners or
Right.
anything.
I thought, are you not a builder?
Yeah.
Are you
Yes,
a builder?
I'll have
Yes, we got a
a
builder.
company at one time,
Yeah, he's a
Liner
builder.
Enterprise.
Okay, so maybe he should have known, but,
Well, I
And
mean,
that
it
doesn't
does-
matter.
But
Nancy.
none of that
that's-
matters.
that's-
None of
that's
that matters.
fine.
And you know, the reality is that we're not gonna make you rebuild your house.
Right.
No,
But this
we're
is
not.
kinda like giving forgiveness, not permission.
It is, but we just protect the city in the future so that it can't happen again.
Move forward, and that should cover.
But I do
everything, and that
believe that we
safeguard
have to,
Davis.
I do believe that we need to continue to follow the ordinance based off covering the patio. I believe that you just
Absolutely,
continue
like,
to go
we're not
by
gonna
that.
be able to cover the patio in the future.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, the patio,
It's
the
not
patio is
square.
curved in two places. When it comes around the end of the house, it curves and it comes back. It's not square like it is on that plot.
Okay,
Is it
Tim,
inside
what
the
you got?
setbacks?
That's why I've done it that way.
Tim?
Let's hear from Tim.
Which
If you have a,
Go back to the,
Only it's
as
Tim,
map.
what you got?
Go for it, Tim.
You have a land surveyor come out and mark the corners of your lots,
Mhm.
alright? And they can mark the corners of the house per setbacks, and that way it's set by the, surveyor. And that way, if it's wrong, it falls back on the surveyor.
Right.
You're saying that's something that we should require?
Yeah.
And that's what we call.
And that's what we will, that's what we.
That's what we will
Yeah,
require,
so-
yeah.
And I think just for,
They
if
come
you
out
guys,
set- They can come out and set batter boards for the corners and pull strings to find the corners, the exact corners where the lots go, or where the house goes.
So my concern at this point is how do we get them in their home and how do we make sure that whatever we need to know about this patio, we know now? Cause I don't want another surprise you guys standing in front of us saying that you wanna do something with your patio. I don't wanna hear about your home again.
I think from
I think
from an
that-
approval standpoint, if you are so inclined to approve it, I think you would adopt the as-built as the approved setbacks, for this piece of property.
Okay.
And that way, you know, I think you adopted as-built dated March 8th, 2024. Is that?
As built, as the
As-built
setbacks,
June- or
setbacks
June
for
1,
this.
23.
Yeah, my understanding is we're just granting them the variance.
Yeah, but and the as-built has the setbacks in there, so that grants that variance.
Do we sign it? Does the city official sign it?
We
Yes,
did
Tim.
not, we did not.
Is
sign
it possible to get the land resurveyed for the proper setbacks?
That would be up to them.
The neighbors may give up a few feet, but that way in the future, the city's done their diligence. He now has a proper survey. It may not work, I don't know, it's just a suggestion.
Why would we be doing that?
We've already had the survey.
We don't need,
Survey.
I know what he's saying, but this is
No, I don't
where it's
think the
already
neighbors
built by the
have,
property.
we don't have a neighbor complaining. I don't think the neighbor ought to have to give up anything.
No,
It's
no,
not
no.
infringing.
We're not asking.
No, no, we're not gonna ask.
Can I show you on there what I'm talking about on the
Yeah,
patio?
let's get a motion.
If I'm in order, I'll offer motion
Yeah.
for the approval of second reading.
Sir?
Can I show y'all what I was talking about on the patio board?
They took that off, that infringement off in the meeting where y'all voted the first reading.
Okay.
They took that infringement off because it's not infringing on
This
that.
section of the patio is curved right here, and then it curves back again here, and then it curves back to the house right there. So those corners right there are cut off.
So it's not
So
square.
it's not infringing then.
The patio's not infringing at all, or it's not infringing in two spots?
I hate to be
Where
this
they had
person,
it
but we may need to do
infringement.
as-built.
Well, then it's.
If they're curved, then that is an incorrect document in front of us.
It's not right now.
Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't.
David, if it's curved, that is not a correct document in front of us.
So that cement patio does not have to meet setback at all, so it's no concern.
Yeah, but it is a concern if they want to cover it.
Right, but when he comes in for a building permit to cover that, that's when I will catch it and make sure that that building does not encroach on the setback.
And it will
And I
require
will-
us,
And I will have an as-built that actually pinpoints, shows me exactly where that house is set. So I have a real good idea that he's gonna encroach if he is.
and we will have a surveyor that will have signed off.
So we are gonna hear about it again
We're gonna
when
see
they
Mr.
wanna
Riley
cover their
again
patio.
if he
We'll
ever-
see them.
He's gonna come to
Definitely
me,
said I
he's
didn't
gonna
wanna hear
come to
about
me
this
for
again.
approval. He's gonna come to me, he's gonna come to me for approval for a building permit. And one of the first things I'm gonna ask is, where's the as-built, to look at how he's gonna build it. And so if it encroaches on the setbacks, then I'm not gonna approve the building permit. He has to come in with a setback,
For another
building
variance.
permit as-built that shows that he's not encroaching. I won't get a building permit, that's how it works.
Okay.
All
I do
right.
that with all the porches, and anybody that comes in, that's our process.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The as-built that's in place now?
Yes.
Will it be good?
Well, if they adopt it as the variance, which they should, then all that'll be good, and it'll be
Okay.
in stone.
Okay.
And I think Mr. Scott.
I just don't wanna
Yeah,
get
there-
down the road and they say,
Can we make a motion?
Yes,
Mr. Scott
Mr.
has.
Scott made the motion.
I second.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Scott, second by Ms. Riley. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, new business, Effingham Women in Business request to appear to discuss the use of Freedom Park. Come forward, state your name.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Wendy Sanchez, and I am a local chiropractor and owner of Empowered Life PC in Rincon. I am the current acting president of Effingham Women in Business. EWIB is a nonprofit 501c3 registered organization that resides in Effingham County. We are a group of incredibly diverse and dynamic women consisting of business professionals, leaders, entrepreneurs in our local community. The event we are holding in November at Freedom Park is our fundraiser to raise funds for our scholarship program and community endeavors. Each year we award scholarships to graduating high school students. This month we awarded 3 scholarships to graduates this year. November's event is our only event this year that be held to help us fund our scholarships for next spring's class of graduates. I stand before you today humbly asking that the fee for our use of Freedom Park in November be waived. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And Mayor and Councils, for some of you that are new, Mr. Scott, Mr. Blackwell, Ms. Taylor may remember, we can grant, at a staff level, I can grant the use of Freedom Park. I do not have the ability to waive the fee to use Freedom Park specifically. If that fee is requested to be waived, comes to you all, which is what's here before you tonight.
Yeah. I make a motion, we waive the.
Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Taylor to waive the fee, and I have a second by Mr. Blackwell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Number 3 is authorize Mayor Pro Tem to sign a memorandum of understanding with Core MPO.
Oh, yes, sir. This is, as exciting as transportation can get. This is an exciting item. The core arm of the Metropolitan Planning Organization in Savannah, they have expanded their boundaries. That's all based on population growth and traffic growth, which now goes west towards 119 in Springfield. So now Effingham County had been part of it as a county just based on some other logistical areas they had. But now Rincon, Springfield, and Guyton get to become part of that with them. But to do that, we need to initiate this memorandum of understandings, and we agree to participate. The county is going to fund the entire membership cost. They're gonna pay for all the cities to be a part of the organization with us. What it does a couple things. One, Effingham County as a whole will gain a second seat on the NPO board. Speaking with the county manager, we're still trying to talk through it, but as I mentioned to you guys in the email, we would alternate the seat, the extra seat. The county would always maintain 1 seat, and the 3 cities would look at how they would like to alternate that other seat. I did let him know in the email that Rincon needs to be first based upon our priority for trying to get Highway 21 done. And, you know, speaking again with the county manager the other day, that because we are now part of it, that Highway 21 project just keeps moving up that priority list because of where we are. So that's what it is. I mean, in a nutshell, it's a, you know, we don't know who that appointee would be, but right now this just allows us to go ahead and give them the MOU that we will be part of the NPO as well.
Well, and I would just like to put this out there. I mean, reading through this, it kinda has Miss Lewis all over it, you know what I mean? Because of everything that she's got going, everything that's going on with planning now. You know, I know that's not for this, but it's, you know, obviously something that I feel like, I would like to see. Everybody would agree with that.
She's leading under intention and need and understanding what we need and we're council planning on, as well as what's happening for the demographic of the area,
Yes.
transportation.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I got a motion to approve by Ms. Riley. She's quick on the go. And a second
This
by
meeting's
Mr.
taking too
Blackman.
long already.
Right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We've got approval of a quote by Wilson and Associates to reclay the baseball fields at McCumber Park in the amount of $40,800. I would ask that Ms. Loper come up and discuss that.
Good evening. So we have the two. We have one that we got the quote from T-Mac Wilder, and that quote came in at $73,000. And so I requested to get a second quote, and we had Wilson and Associates Sports Turf come out, and their quote came in at $40,800. One of the different, with both of them, they both asked that we provide the material, the clay, you know, and all of that. In meeting with both of them, there was one discrepancy that I noticed that kind of stood out to me. Is Wilson noted that the fields had not been properly edged and taken care of and shaped for years. So he did not see the need for sod because the sod's actually kind of overgrown into the clay. But then if you look on the T-Mac Wilder, he requested that we get sod, which was kind of odd to me. One thing I can tell you in looking at when Alan Wilson sent in his information, he also informed me he does sit on the grounds crew for the Little League World Series each year. So he renews his certification, and he comes highly recommended.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, correct me, we did have, I think our engineer got involved in it a little bit and discussed with him as well.
Yes.
Because he had some positive.
Yes, and we talked to, I think Mona had helped me get in touch with the person that we'd gotten the clay from initially.
Okay.
So before he left that day, we got on the phone with the guy. He confirmed that he would have the clay. If given the job, he's gonna schedule it for the first week in August. He'll do 2 fields a day and get it knocked out within a week.
And if you all remember correctly, when we started doing some of the moving the contingency money, we did have it budgeted at $73,000. So this does allow us to save a little bit of money as well, just from that overall amount.
Or do a little more.
Well,
I'm sure we can find a use for it, yes, sir.
You hadn't bought the dirt yet.
That's correct.
It
That's
actually
valid.
came
That's
in
very
a lot cheaper than we thought it was going to after getting on the phone with him. So I was quite pleased with that amount.
Well, you never know, something might pop up, so it's always that.
You know, it is a good thing, and he actually, we have already got him coming out, starting tomorrow. He will be on site to start taking care of the earthworms and the problems that we have in the grass areas. So he's coming out to aerate all the fields tomorrow and start all the pre-emergence and stuff to try to get the grass areas back up.
So is that included in his price?
No, that was a separate.
That's a separate area.
Yeah.
Would not
Those
be
earthworms have completely taken over all the fields over there.
Yeah, take some before pictures so we can compare.
Yes.
Yes, well, and I also have the aerials from
Oh,
the
yeah.
helicopter, so
Yeah.
I would love to do another one after
Yes.
it's done to see.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can just use my helicopter.
Yeah, okay.
I make a motion, we accept.
Second.
I got a motion by Ms. Underwood. Is that a second by Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Second by Mr. Scott. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, Ms. Underwood. Number 5, authorize the on-call engineering service. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, sir. I apologize that this did not make it in the initial submission for the packet. I was waiting for this from GMC. You all have asked for several things regarding architectural design, sketches, park layouts. So I did reach out to GMC. They're an engineering company that does specialize in doing things like this. If you look in their packet, they are showing different ball fields, different parks, different facilities. So I have them waiting, assuming we get this approved, to start working on looking at getting with the parties needed to look at what kind of designs we can put here at JC Park, their architects on standby to come into the Heinley building to look at different areas at what we're calling North Park now, the GERT property. So they're able to do all of that for us. So what the state law does allow for professional services such as engineering is to be able to approve on-call services, so you don't have to bid that out every time. I don't anticipate any single item going over a bid threshold, but being able to approve an on-call contract with them, similar to what we do with EMC, allows us to use them and maintain compliance with any procurement guidelines that we have going forward.
Now, I do wanna make sure, Mr. Lynn, that, you know, we do have a beautification team.
Yes.
They do have ideas and thoughts, and what I would like to see is those thoughts be, you know, they actually sit down and talk about it before they build, you know, draw this out.
GMC is ready to call them. They're on standby
So
to
you guys
do
would
it.
sit down,
Yeah.
tell them what you think that it should look like. Because at the end of the day, you know, you guys were voted in on your vision.
Yeah,
And,
I appreciate that.
And so that's what we want.
My extent was it needs flowers or something. They're the something, that's all. I mean, that's
Right,
what, that
right.
beautification, that's what they're there for.
Right.
We get them on board, we'll start connecting people. A group of them will be down, they do have a Savannah office now, GMC, but a group of them will be down for the GMA conference. So I expect them to be scheduling meetings toward the latter part of June with everybody. So.
Okay, and while we're talking about that, we're also talking about the Howling Center.
Yes.
We're talking about the 85 acres. We're talking about all those things that we can sit down with them, because we need to sketch that out. We need to know what it looks like.
Yeah, and that was all part of it, that's why we're.
And the 58.
And
And the
I was just thinking the
58.
58.
I did not include that, but by approving this agreement,
Yeah.
we could actually incorporate that in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we could just go,
Yeah.
So-
If we had one,
Yeah.
if we had one really, good workshop with them.
yeah.
And then maybe you guys sit with them early on in the day and just go through your ideas, your thoughts. I'm not big on color. I mean, you pick that stuff out, man. I mean, you know what you
You
want
and
to
me
look like.
both, so. But yeah, this allows us to get all that moving forward and have it going. I did let them know that, you know, we are trying to make sure some of these things are completed by October if possible, some of the smaller things, and then, you know,
Okay.
kind of timeframes for everything, and
Yes.
they're able to do that for us, so.
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All right, I got a motion by Ms. Taylor, and a second by Ms. Underwood. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we'll move into, Mr. City Manager, we'll move into administrative reports.
Yes, sir. I just have a couple quick things tonight, and I'll kind of highlight some of the stuff on our new list that I'll pull up on the screen. I know I sent an email to everybody last week, as well as a picture. Now that we're all present, I'd like to congratulate Chief Reed on graduating with his Certified Public Manager certificate last week from the University of Georgia. It definitely pains him and Miss Riley that he's now a graduate of the University of Georgia. It's a great program.
But you can still say Roll Tide from the back of the room.
Just remind everybody that's going, we are starting to get all those invites or events at the GMA conference. I do ask them, even if you're not registered, I will send it to you guys. If you're not registered, please come down, have dinner, do whatever those functions are with the groups that will be taking those groups out to whatever they do in Savannah during those events. typically it'll probably be on the Saturday, I think it's the 21st, 22nd, 23rd range, for everybody, so I'll keep you guys going, in terms of the schedule for that. We have ordered the conference room furniture for City Hall. We are hoping it's here by Friday. We're not certain as to if it will be, but they will come in and install it. We are not having to do anything. We are not having any non-city staff that are in buildings, so to speak, install it. Their people will come in, put everything together, to have that up and running. Just remind everybody, and I'm sorry, Kevin, if I take any of your thunder, I'll be brief. We are gonna have a State of the City
Yes.
address Monday night, at the Herald. I believe we have it scheduled for 6 o'clock. That
Thank you
night.
for that, getting that scheduled.
The last thing I have is I know Ms. Underwood asked today, and I'm happy to say, you guys will start getting quarterly financial reports, probably midweek next week. Right now, as we're having to get everything going back and reconciled, we can actually give you point in time counts now for this budget year. So we can go, the first quarter, we can show you by line item, by department, what the budget was, what's been expended, and what's remaining. So we are finally getting to that point now. So I'm very, very happy to say that, finally. It's easy for me to sit here and tell you, yes, we're doing good, but it's a lot better if you guys can see it. It's a lot better if you guys can see it from the system.
How has she come along with catching that other stuff up and getting that behind us?
She's got a couple more months of 2023 done, and it'll be behind us.
Nice.
That's it.
Good.
So she is rocking and rolling.
Wow.
As well as, while I'm on that one, the second meeting of June, the 24th, Davenport and Company is going to come to the council meeting and give you a financial picture of the city. Like, here's what you can, because they're gonna be here at the GMA conference. I'll ask if they could just come over that Monday night and do a quick presentation. They're our financial advisors that we will probably need going forward to give us, they're not an auditor, they'll give you the financial health of the city, so to speak. So that being said, I'll just hit a couple of these other quick highlights. If I can get my technologies work so good, let's see if it keeps going.
Jonathan, while we're, I know we mentioned the State of the City, but we had also tried to plan, one of our neighborhood engagement walks. I know you were, talking to Picket Fences.
I did. I emailed with Mr. Douglas today, proposed some dates, toward the middle to end of this month.
Okay.
It'll probably, we were looking at doing something. He doesn't get back from where he works until after about 5:15, 5:30, so now we're trying to see what days go with that, and that's why, getting workshops and everything scheduled around it, I would look toward the middle to end of this month.
So, and what I would like to do is get you to just assist me in the editing, the one that I recorded.
Oh, yes, sir.
So that we could send that out via email, so that all the council members could see what, part they take in it. Also our staff, because staff is very involved in those
Yes, sir.
walkthroughs. Okay.
Perfect. And then, this is the sheet, if you guys, remember the email that we sent a few weeks back that did a SharePoint sheet. This is that sheet, so every time we update it, you guys now have that update. It sounds like everybody's okay with how it is. I know Ms. Underwood has requested a workshop, so that we can go in and we can get a priority list going, so we know where to really focus our efforts. And then once we get that going, we can actually share this on our website, on the app, everything, so that the public can go in and now see where we are, because none of this is hidden by any means. So if you can see, Macomber Park renovations, we did extend the bidding out a couple weeks, because we did add some of those other punch list items to the paving and concrete work that was out there. The bids are gonna be doing that next week. Picket Fences, emergency access, did have that meeting, updated you all with the email last week, with Omnitrax Bros representatives, as well as our engineers and the IDA. So right now, we're looking at getting the wetland delineation done, so to speak. But while we're doing that, it's looking like once we get moving, we can actually go forward from the side of Picket Fences. We have to get the Sharpley families, full formal blessing to meet where that wetland line is, so that we're not holding it up. Because they said it's supposed to take 60 days, but right now they're taking about 120 days to get your wetlands permit.
Okay.
But we're impacting, ideally, it's gonna be less than 1/10 of an acre of wetlands to get through.
Oh, that's great. So that cost is gonna be down.
That cost is gonna go significantly down, yes, sir.
Have you been able to reach the Sharpleys?
So Grant Herndon with the IDA the Sharpleys have not to share too much, the Sharpleys have kind of backed out from communication, but they have a point of contact. The IDA knows very well, so they are helping us get that formal approval. So that we've got everybody working on the same page. EMC is connected, Alec at EMC is connected with Sly Engineering, their engineers to make all this happen, so.
And that's the wetlands.
That's the wetlands part of it.
Is there any chance we can have that completed by the end of the year?
Absolutely. I hope, above hope, that we can send out something next month in terms of a press release to say, hey, you'll start seeing dirt moving by this date.
Yeah, and once, I think once, as they go through this, I would like to see EMC, once we develop that new road, give us a total on the cost, because I think the cost should go down based off of what they originally quoted us going across that wetland.
No, absolutely. And,
It should go down.
And something else I didn't mention, and I'm sorry if I get Bro and Omnitrax confused as to which company does what there.
Right.
They have offered their construction company to us so that we don't have to pay any mobilization costs, the ones that they have on site. We would have to pay them, but we'll save, a significant amount of money not having to pay any mobilization costs for someone to get in, to start doing the clearing and the grading, so I think that's.
And just so everybody knows up here, I guess we've been fighting for years with a certain person that was working with Bro. This person was terminated from Bro, which has really opened the door for better conversation. So I think they finally wised up due to our pressure that we continue to put on them about getting this done, and finally let that guy go. So now that's created a whole different atmosphere, that they're coming to the table, they wanna assist us, they wanna get this thing done quickly. So that's important, and we'll talk about that during the State of the City, but I think that's really good.
And I think that's 100% accurate. The tone of that meeting was a complete 180 from the other couple meetings that we've had with them.
And you were in all of them.
I was in all, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just a couple other quick things. We have the 2 of the 3 easements that have been acquired for 7th Street. We are trying to figure out the easiest, we're waiting on the 1 easement. We talked with Tim, EMC, there's a way that we can do it, to go ahead and probably work this project in and then get the easement after, because, as Tim says, if they have a grinder pump, we have an easement in there somewhere.
You already got it.
And so if they wanna get hooked up,
That was always my concern.
Yeah.
If the ground pump's there, why are we
so-
requesting another easement?
So we
gotta have an
And what threw it off was when we made the request, we made the wrong request.
So I think that.
Those grinder pumps was put into the grant, it required an easement to start with.
Right.
So we shouldn't really be asking for an easement that we already have.
That's correct, so EMC is expediting that for us.
And we did
The
have-
funding's there, the funding's been there for a couple
We
of
did
years.
have 2 pieces of property that we had to cross, that we did not have an easement, because there was no ground pump that was put in. It was undeveloped.
So those we have to.
Right.
So, pay and compensation study, it's underway. We hope, we have our next call Thursday of this week. We should be done with that by the middle of June, to present to you guys with the new pay scale recommendations, as well as updated job descriptions for the physicians in the city. A few of us had a meeting, that was last week as well, regarding the future library site, future plans for the library. So now we've got, everybody in the same room for how those communications go forward as the county gets ready to fund the new library. Mr. Ben, Ms. Mona, if y'all can help me, I believe they said that's gonna be a project for the next SPLOST,
Yes.
when that comes up in a
Well,
couple of years.
he said that.
Once it gets voted
He said
on.
the minute it gets voted in, they're ready to go.
So
So that we
And-
can start construction.
Right.
So we'll be ready to start construction, so we'll start working
That's 2
on
years?
plans and everything and be ready.
No.
Yeah.
November.
Not yet.
Of November.
November. So I wanna ask you something about that, Jonathan. While we have, help me,
GMC.
GMC.
There's EMC and GMC.
There's GMC.
Yeah.
While we have
This
GMC,
don't take
are we going to go ahead and get them to, draw a potential park out there, finish our park area? Cause we've got the library, we wanna see where the library's sitting, and I would like for the residents to see where the library's sitting. We also have water there, and I just went through a 40x40 splash pad, at my past job. And, the biggest expense was bringing the water to it. So the splash pad expense was $150,000 with the water being brought to it. So I just think that, I'd like to see how that would look. A splash pad, a walking track around the park, just have that drawn up so that we can complete that property build out over at Patriot Park.
Is somebody already doing this?
I've got, EMC is kind of laying out where it could go spatially.
Okay.
I could probably have them and EMC and GMC coordinate, because GMC can show you the sketches of how you want it to look
That's right.
based on this. They have that architectural, that inside
Yeah.
knowledge.
They have a
that-
splash pad in
That's-
here. if you
Oh,
wanna
do
look
they?
at it.
And see, that's another thing, you know.
And the bathroom.
These guys, yeah, in the bathroom. So these guys need to be involved in that, you know, in
Yeah.
drawing that out, because I want that to be a vision that we have and
Yes.
something that we act on fairly quickly.
I got a picture last week in Athens, and I don't know if I
What's
can
that,
pull it up.
Tim?
They have outdoor bathrooms in downtown Athens now,
Mhm.
like just on a street corner, where the top's actually exposed and it's a very minimal footprint. And it may be something that we can put over there, to not take up a lot of room, but also give those people, give everyone access to it that use the park. I don't know if I can.
Okay, wait a minute, what'd you say? The top's exposed?
Yeah.
Well, what if it rains?
It rains in Athens too, I guess. I've got to get back to
If
get
it's
more
raining
information.
and you're at the park, you gonna pack up your stuff and leave.
Well, I don't want the bathroom to not have something over it, I'm sorry.
Hey, Michelle,
We'll deal
that's
with
why
that.
you need to be a part of that sketch.
Michelle, why are you not letting them fly drones with cameras?
You got a point there.
Tim had his hand raised, Jonathan.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
On any water, you need to cost yourself on any water features, unless you've got a well out there that you can draw some from.
Mhm.
We're getting mighty close to our permit.
Mhm.
And we dang sure don't wanna get start buying water from the county.
What's that permit look like? Do we wanna, we need to know, not if we wanna know, we need to know.
Well, right now, we're safe.
Oh, okay, I see it,
Yeah,
that's
see that, but
better.
it's got, I think it
Oh,
actually has
okay.
three
It's got a
bathrooms in
roof.
it, but it's
It's just
very, it's very concise.
For ventilation.
I mean, but
Yeah.
it's right there on the street corner.
That's
downtown
not bad.
But
Athens.
you know what, are you thinking about the tennis courts over there?
Mhm. Right there
So-
by Patriots Park.
So you know what I'm thinking, if
It's even got a water fountain right
it looks like one of those
Oh.
awful bathrooms that you'd have to go to on the airplane.
So the doors are right here, so it's a big door. They're not, these aren't the doors. These are the big doors.
Oh, there you go, it's a full-size door on the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So
Savannah has
I
some.
just walked up on it, didn't even know it was a bathroom and just saw it there.
And can I go ahead and tell you gnats and flies? Could we just not do that one?
That one's not
Okay,
bad.
yeah, that's valid. I mean, that's.
I mean, I'm just thinking cold,
All right,
heat.
I think y'all should take a ride to
Yeah,
Athens and see how it is.
Tim will have to be in on that,
Yeah.
splash pad,
Yeah.
Okay.
And, Tim, another thing that they have, and like I said, if that's what we have to do is a well, that's what we have to do, but I'm not going to stop doing things for the city. We gotta figure it out. And I'll tell you this, that splash pad also has the one that I went out there, has a push button with your foot. So it cuts off every 15 minutes, so the kids have to go over and stomp on it, and it comes back on
It's
and it
not
runs for
just
another 15 minutes.
running water for no, when
Yeah,
no
so
one's
nobody
there.
can walk away and
That's
it just
amazing.
continue to run.
yeah.
Great idea.
So just some of the other highlights in here.
Kevin.
The library repairs have been completed. We authorized payment. We'll ask the county to repay us the money. We did put the Willow Peg sidewalks, and we've got the full estimate back whenever the city is ready to move forward with that. It's roughly $555,000 to do sidewalks all the way down St. Andrews, all the way down Clubhouse, and then all the way up, Willow Peg, and then all the way up Marion.
And that covers our trip to our amenity.
That's correct. That is correct.
All
Yes,
the
sir.
way around, okay.
I emailed today regarding the speed limits. So after getting some input from Chief Merle, he does recommend two areas, from roundabout on Fort Howard back up to 21, making the entirety of Fort Howard 35 miles an hour. And then working with GDOT to have essentially from the viaduct to the end of the city limits going toward Port Wentworth is all 35, as opposed to, because parts of it are 35, and then right here where it gets really busy, it goes right back up to 45 in a congested area. So.
And you know, Mr. Blackwell was right, when, we both know, and I'm sure everybody does, because I drive it. But if it says 45, you're gonna run 52, 53. So hopefully getting down to 35, we can ride 42, 43. Because he knows that's gonna happen.
That's correct, you're right.
And Fort Howard
Lieutenant
sometimes,
Thompson
man, you
can,
can't.
or Captain Thompson now can say, verify that too.
Exactly right.
Well, at
Yeah,
least
so-
give us 5.
All right, so this, so yeah, those are just some of the highlights. EMC should be getting me the pricing this week for doing the road inventory, the road assessment.
Yes.
So that we can know where to prioritize the money. We should be getting a physical check. I believe it's gonna be this Friday or Monday, from the county for roughly $10 million.
Okay.
Which will be that first half of that upcoming T-Splost, so that then we have the ability to go in and essentially bulk bid several projects at once to minimize some things. The county has asked if we would like to, they're gonna do a big construction bid, paving bid toward the end of the summer. If any of the cities would like to piggyback on that same contract so that, we get more buying power. So that.
And then, of course, if any of their stuff ends where ours begins, we need to just continue forward.
Right.
So,
Instead
yeah.
of having a separate company come in and.
Right.
I think that's absolutely
Thank
correct.
goodness we got
Yes,
people
and I
that
think
work with us.
And I think we really built a relationship with some of our commissioners, and it was a godsend.
That's right.
And money
spend
sitting
time.
idle like that, waiting, especially $10 million, please tell me that's in a good interest-bearing
And
account.
believe it or not, I'm glad you said that, a lot of money we have cannot accrue interest.
Cannot.
T-Splost is not one of them. We absolutely can sit it there and
Yeah.
accrue interest as long as we need it.
So that's perfect.
Let's take advantage.
That's correct. So-
That don't mean we push the projects back just so we can make more money.
No, but
While we're waiting, we
But
make
while
it.
we're waiting.
That's right, yeah, while we're waiting, because we're not, I mean, let's be honest, we're not gonna
Let's
do
work
every
smart,
project
not
right
hard.
away, so, but we can't, it'll have to be in its own account, so we'll have to go through that process.
And I have one more question. I did get a text today from Brett about the milling.
Okay.
So he said that, I guess he had talked to someone and they had planned on getting that milling out there.
Okay.
That's, and while we're talking about the milling, that place where we were gonna put the milling, Ms. Taylor and I were out there, Ms. Underwood, and there's a lot of illegal dumping, and what we need to do is, go ahead and get some illegal dumping signs.
Okay.
And get those put in place in areas where people are doing that. And it's, honestly, it's not fair to them, because they're being told, well, this is storm debris, you can go dump it here, this area is part of the neighborhood, and nobody really knows where the neighborhood and the city end on that deal. So, we were able to have a conversation with somebody, the conversation did not go well, and then it went well after another 45-minute conversation at my house later on that night with that same person that was dumping. So it really turned out well for us, and he totally understood and apologized, and it was a misunderstanding.
Good.
Well,
So-
everybody else
Did he
he
clean it
dumps
up?
there and has
Yes, he
been, their
picked up
yard
his
debris
stuff.
is going
Yes, ma'am.
there.
But with that being said, we have a lot that's there now, so we need to make sure that we get that cleaned up and then put the sign there. So-
A person will be like, hey, there's other stuff there, why don't we just go dump ours on top of that?
That's right, that's exactly what's happening. And the neighborhood thinks that that's their dumping area. So if we can, Jonathan, get that cleaned up, it's kinda small now. Obviously, there's a couple of big trees in there cut up that's gonna have to have something to pick it up. But if we can get that clean and out, then we can go ahead and get our sign there, we can stop that dumping, and then anywhere else in the city that we got dumping, and I'm like, Ms. Taylor, the first thing I said is, oh yeah, well, we need to put a fine on that. We need to put a huge fine on illegal dumping.
We have one, I'm
Yeah.
not sure of the number.
And I'm not sure what it is, but that fine needs to be, because it costs 11 cents a ton, or a pound, what is it, 11 cents a ton, to go over to, Effingham County and dump that over at the.
It's gotta be more than that.
No, it's.
And sometimes they
Yeah,
have
it's
free days,
10 cents.
sometimes you go and it's free.
What is it?
He said 9 cents.
9 cents a pound. So it's really, somebody
Pound,
said,
but you
yeah.
said a ton.
Well, I deal with tons, Randy, that's all I deal with.
Yes, sir.
I wanna
Mhm.
ask,
Go
because
catch
somebody
me.
brought it to my attention today, actually, it was Miss Peggy Cowan, she sent us a picture today. It looks like there's a section in front of those apartments on 9th Street, there's no sidewalk.
So that's the one section we're waiting on. The person would not give us an easement, so we are gonna have to go after a condemnation for that.
There was an older gentleman with a walker no more sidewalks, he's there with his walker trying to.
Do we have a picture of that?
Yes.
So that one property owner is refusing to do it because he says he doesn't have any storm drainage, and we charge him a stormwater fee like we charge everybody, so he's refusing to give it to us, so.
Right, go after him.
We've already got our esteemed legal counsel working on that one for us.
Well, while we're,
And that is on the list, I did highlight that.
well, while we're talking about that, you know where our sidewalks are on this side and then it cuts over to this side? Are they gonna put yellow lines, a walking yellow painted thing for people?
Crosswalk.
Yeah.
Pavement.
So I think we can do that. Typically it's typically based on your speed limits. Because once it gets above a certain speed limit, we've gotta have some sort of signal there.
Yeah, you gotta put a signal further back that says that that's pedestrian.
But that is an
crosswalk.
eligible T-Splosh expense that we could look at doing ourselves. We could have the push button crossing where, you light them up when people push the button, so somebody's in the crosswalk.
Sort of like what happened
What
on
road are
West
you
Main
talking
Street
about
in
though, cause you
Savannah.
can't do it on 21.
No, it's on Ninth.
She's talking about Ninth Street.
Ninth Street.
Cause we had right away more on one side.
Over in Guyton, right there on 119, right inside city limits.
So, does the one work at Ninth Street on 21? Does
Heard
that-
it did not.
No, it's broken.
Tim, can you let GDOT know?
The
push button-
crosswalk
the
at
crosswalk
Ninth
sign on
Street,
Ninth
21 is
21's
broken.
not working.
If we can get somebody to check that.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that's a GDOT one, but we will
Yeah.
let them know.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
Alright, who's next?
all right.
Are we done?
Yeah.
No.
No, we've got, city
Tim.
manager's done, so we got,
Chief.
Chief,
Which one?
I'm available for questions.
nobody got anything? Chief?
I've just got a few things. Thank you for the great applause. Calls are down, education is up. 99% of the staff are enrolled or currently being enrolled in classes, so that they have more professional certifications. Tomorrow, we have Lydia Kearney. She is a female firefighter medic out of the state of Florida coming to try out for us. That would fill our vacancy. So we were wishing her well tomorrow on her written and physical agility. She is a United States veteran. You're killing me.
You're doing great, I wouldn't talk about it.
All right. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
congratulations
Thank you.
again.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Building and zoning, I guess David's,
David's gone.
okay, recreation? Okay.
You brought your bag?
Y'all wanna read it first?
Be kind.
Be kind. All right, what you got?
So,
I'm sorry.
hang on.
Yeah.
So, I did a 120 day of accomplishments, but a few things to highlight. I sent it to Jonathan and he can share with y'all. Rec Desk is officially in place, up and running. It's been amazing. We've had rentals the last few weeks. We had 2 teams back out of All-Stars. So being able to go in and take their money, send them their invoice, them pay it, and then the teams that backed out just reverse the credit card charges and not have to go through, putting finance and all through. It's been great. The rentals, the security deposits come in after the weekend. We just reversed the $150 security deposit and they've got it and we're done. So it's been working very well.
So Ms. Walker, on those where you're reversing the charges, are they that money is being held in like escrow at your department or?
No.
Or through the banking system that's?
It
going
goes
through
into
system?
it goes into the authorized.net system. The money goes in, each day, we get a report emailed And then I go on every morning and click on reports and match the report to the emailed statement that comes in. So it'll actually show the charges, and then it actually shows when we reverse the charges and they send it back. So all of it's recorded and documented. And then in each account, if you came in and we did that, we could click on your account and then do a detail of your account, and it would show the money that came in, the money that went back out, and everything, so it's all in there.
I think the question may have been, since it's a security deposit, do we have a separate escrow account to hold those funds in?
Whitney, when we set this up, Whitney had an account that she wanted it specifically to go in, and then it comes right back out of that one.
Should we consider a separate escrow account to hold security deposits in?
We've talked about doing that. I think they do that. They can do that by law in South Carolina. I don't know that we can set a chart of accounts in Georgia.
It's
Yeah, we
sort of
have
like
that
credit
ability.
cards too, cause I
But
go to
we-
a lot of places, they'll charge me a $40 retainer fee, and then when I leave, they reverse the charge and send a
So
credit, so
the-
I don't, it's
one of the-
working on that system, but I'm not sure about the
Yeah,
escrows.
we're looking at it. I know with RegDesk, what we didn't have in Community Pass is now the ability to have we can go in and look at every security deposit for a season.
Yeah.
So we know exactly what part of this money was a security deposit. So we
Okay.
actually are able to match that up. It just may get intermingled, every, once a year when we do those things, and then.
Yeah,
then
and
go
she
back
did
out
set
with-
up an account code for the security deposits. So
Is that how
it
our practice
will
teams are paying?
actually, you will
Not
actually,
right
with the
now.
detail, you would actually be able to see it with the
'Cause it's
budget
all
and
going in the
everything.
same pot.
Yes, our practice
Money.
teams are renting the fields through RegDesk.
Through
Shannon sets it-
RegDesk.
Shannon
So
sets
all
it.
that's done.
All that's done.
No more, I'm giving you $250 for 3 months or whatever.
We are trying to shy away from the cash.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
no,
can-
no, no,
Right.
we're,
We
no,
are.
no,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
a
get
sin.
yeah.
So.
We try not to, and with them,
Concession stand is the exception.
and we have a big sign that says, we accept credit cards, cause we
Yeah,
would
and
rather
people
do
are
that.
moving more now.
They are.
So I know in the old group that was there, that's not there anymore, cause I had a lady that called me, she goes, are they gonna ever give me my credit back? On RegDesk now, if say like, child ends up needing a toxalectomy or something and can't play, y'all give them a credit, y'all don't always give cash back.
Correct.
Will that credit show when they go in and look and they can see their credit?
It
and know?
will, so if you go to register, when you get to the checkout, it'll ask you if you wanna apply your credit.
Perfect.
So yes, and working with Jonathan last week, cause I had 2 that actually ended up this week that, when I did their all-star uniforms, cause we've got all the all-star uniforms ordered. And they said, well, can you just apply my football equipment credit? So I've actually found a stack of yellow Walmart, Staples, whatever, receipts that were written. Where the money's at, I don't know, that's before me. But I've been able to take those, because I don't, like Jonathan and I talked about, I don't think when I call these people to get the money for their all-star uniforms, that they're making it up.
Right.
So he's authorized me, for the few that have asked. I checked with Fran first to make sure Fran didn't give them a refund, and if she didn't, then I'm applying the credit. So if you do have anyone, just have them call me so that I can put it into the RegDesk.
That lady mentioned that about a month ago to me, she goes, it doesn't matter,
No.
but I'll just tell you.
And
these
I've
people
had a
never gave me
couple
my
of them
credit.
that say that,
It
but I
does
mean,
matter.
it does matter.
It does.
Yeah, we don't wanna lose them, so yeah.
Well, no, I mean, she wasn't mad at anybody, she just,
I know, but it makes me feel bad. I've prepared the 70-30 packet that's being, to be implemented hopefully later this year, so that we can start some camps and some, art programs and stuff with the Boy Scouts moving out. We have completely redone that room. We got the walls done, and, the floors have been done, and tomorrow the baseboards will be put down, so that, we'll have that room available for use, and it is huge.
Nice.
How does football look? Cheerleading. We got 2 cheerleaders for every football player?
We're getting there. We're about to have 2 cheerleaders per football player, so we're getting there.
And how many people do you have signed up for football?
So at the football, we're around 130.
oh, good.
Yeah.
I think last year we had 70.
And we had to extend it a week to get that,
Yeah.
at the end,
Right,
at
we
the
had
end
to
of
extend it.
registration.
And cheerleading was
High five,
not,
everybody.
how many cheerleaders do we have now?
Around 120 something.
Shannon told me we have one cheerleader per football player.
I'm gonna
We
sign,
do.
I'm
That's
gonna send,
amazing. Yeah, one cheerleader.
I'm gonna
Sign
send
them
each
cheer
of you the
players?
coach's application.
No.
I'm so
To
excited.
start cheering.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I told Shannon we'd all volunteer to go help coach if we needed to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Let's go.
and I've already, spoken with 3 different vendors about the football and cheerleading uniforms, so that we can get those in. And, I don't know if, I had Jonathan looking at it today. I don't know if any of you have looked at the website since I've sat and updated it. So every single sport
Thanks for
is
the reminder.
updated.
Thanks for the reminder, I said I was supposed to have it up for you.
Oh, okay. But, each and every sport is updated, each and every sport has an information sheet, each and every sport has a timeline, so that every parent has anything up there, tackle football. So if you go to the information sheet, it tells you the age cutoff, the registration deadline, the coaches' meetings that are already set, so all the coaches know their meeting dates and can plan in advance. Practice, the season, practice sites, game sites, what equipment's provided, what they need to buy, their sponsorship info, and then the refund policy. And so I have that for every single,
And all that, so like, to be a coach, here's everything you need to know.
Here's
The
everything you
handbook,
need
the
to be a
background
coach.
check
Oh,
for
that's nice.
everything, right
Yeah,
there in one
good.
spot. So.
Yep.
Very
So,
nice.
in every single sport. So we already have, even our open league, August the 1st, for all the coaches to come out, discuss the rules, talk about it, so that no one, everybody can plan in advance, and so,
Do you have teams signed up already for open baseball?
no, but I have sat down with so many people, they just come, it's
So
been.
you feel like that's gonna be something?
It's
pretty
gonna be
good.
great, and the best part about it is, it has given me, I have met so many people, because they come and plop down in my chair and say, let's talk about this. And so, I kinda wish that I'd done that day one, because I have met so many people through the
I think
open
it's gonna
league.
be one of the bigger things
Yeah.
and I think people are gonna love it.
I hope so, and a lot of the travel teams are excited, back to your, charge, and, I've explained to a lot of them, yes, here, we'll give you, practice times, but you don't wanna go too far in advance, because after August the 1st, the meeting will give you a practice day per week, and it comes with your open league, so
Right.
you won't need to pay.
Right.
Yeah, and that's good for getting them in.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And get them
Sounds
to
really
the park,
good.
Shannon, once they get to the park and see the parks changing, it's gonna be positive.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you'll be seeing things change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It is really nice.
but,
Thank you.
so, with my bag, we cleaned all the storage rooms, organized, and threw out everything that was dated, old, and unable to be used. So, part of the reason that people did not wanna be part of Lincoln Recreation is because these are items that they were issued. These were the soccer balls we
No, that's
were
not
issuing.
That's terrible.
And these were the basketballs that we were issuing.
Those are the best shooting basketballs.
What's the name of the soccer ball?
Wilson?
Wilson.
Yeah, so,
That's terrible.
we threw away, literally, we filled up a whole roll-off dumpster
Oh, wow.
of,
Bad
Yeah.
equipment.
I mean, you can go into the equipment room now, and everything is lined and organized and labeled, and we know what we have. So, we may be in debt a little bit trying to replace some of it, but it was very much
Well,
needed.
new
Yeah,
part,
it needs it.
new equipment.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it was needed. So,
I mean, you can't
anytime
sit
y'all
till
wanna
about
stop
6
by,
o'clock.
come by, the inside of the building, along with the outside, has been painted to match, the outside's been painted to match the park. The inside, all the offices are the same now, they're not 50 different colors, and
Good,
Yeah,
thank
so-
you.
Good.
Very nice.
everything's
Tell
done.
your staff and, thank you for everything that they've done as well. It's been a lot
Everything's-
of work.
One of the inmates was a painter, and a mechanic, so it's been really good.
That is good.
We've got 3 employees now, which is amazing. And, we officially have a set schedule for the outside, stuff, so that we know what days each part will be mowed, what days the trash will be picked up, what days, and all that's coming together as well.
Jonathan, it's gonna be important that we talk about that stuff at the State of the City, because those are things that didn't happen before.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, being able to talk about positive things that we're doing in the city is key.
Schedules are great.
We love schedules.
And then, last but not least, we are officially, well, 2 things real quick, sorry. We're officially almost done with Patriots Park. They emailed me, and the, bouncer ridey thing, spring,
The
whatever.
raccoon, the raccoon?
The raccoon is in, and they're coming out to install it. If they don't get here this week, they'll be here next week. And then, they're also gonna look at, did you mention the sprinklers?
You gotta mention it now.
Well, I swore it was sabotage because we
So
didn't.
there's an irrigation system that was magically coming on flooding the park.
Underneath the
Underneath
turf.
it.
That was underneath it, but it had to be manually turned on and off. So,
way.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not.
so it's the
It
day
didn't do
after.
a lot of damage to that, was it easily fixed?
It's
We
all
cut
dirt,
it-
it's
cut
all
it
dirt
cap.
under there, so it
Yeah.
could be.
It can be filled in and fixed, they're gonna have to, and I've talked to her about that, pulling the turf back and fixing it, but it just, I mean, we were out there searching high and dry, it just, after the grand opening and all the, excitement, it just magically came on.
Well,
So-
that thing's been sitting there a year and it
Yeah.
never come on.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's the big
manual
part.
part of it. is
Alright,
the-
well, we need to get that thing to where.
Um,
Yeah,
yes.
we should have cut it back and kept
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
it
the
should have been done before it was plopped down on top of it.
Exactly.
You turned the water off though for us. Yeah, he,
Yeah,
Tim
the
turned the
water's
water.
off, yeah.
So even if they turn it back on,
No.
there's no water, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Perfect.
And then we're working on, Freedom Rings, this'll be, mine and everybody that's with me first. So if any of you have any insight, thoughts, ideas, whatever, please
You're
share.
first.
Well, I'm gonna, just in case
First
you guys didn't know.
time running it.
Effingham Heroes is taking the Freedom Rings Parade to Springfield.
What?
There's no,
Following weekend.
yeah, they took their parade to Springfield.
They took their spread.
Yeah, so so when anybody says we don't have a parade, it's not our parade, the Effingham Heroes moved it to
Aw.
Springfield the weekend
Why
of the
don't
29th.
Rincon have our own?
Why don't we
parade?
have our own?
We'll have our own.
I mean, we don't, I mean, we
I
got enough
can
people.
advertise it if y'all wanna do
Let's
that.
have our
Hey,
own
but we
parade.
got 3
Okay.
people that can build a float in Rincon.
Listen, let's have
I
our
hear
own
some people have
parade.
golf
Weren't
carts
you
we can put
working
in.
on
That's
it
right.
originally?
I was not I was trying to find out who did that, and everybody kept saying, you don't need to do that, somebody else does that. I have no
We didn't
problem.
find out till they were
So,
advertising.
you know what I'll say about that? We've got a lot of cheerleaders, and we got a lot of football players, and we got a lot of people that can
And we
walk
have a
through
lot
this
of
thing and
veterans
build, yeah,
and
we got a lot of
less-
veterans.
Well,
I
We have
think
a
we
lot of
started.
GP will
businesses.
just have to have 2 vehicles.
That's right.
Let's go ahead and do our own parade, and then I want to mention, since we're doing Heroes of the Month, maybe we could do a float around that.
That's a great idea.
That'd be
Yeah,
good
that's
for
an
for
awesome
past
idea.
heroes, or
Yeah.
however you wanna do it.
Get Rincon Chevrolet to put a vehicle in to
Yeah.
tow them.
Yes,
There you go.
okay. Well, I gotta meet with him about the transformer anyway,
All right, we'll talk tomorrow.
so yeah.
All
I can
right.
do that. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Public
Yes.
Works?
Tim, got a phone on that.
Kevin.
Huh?
Go ahead, Tim, they didn't hear you.
Good.
I'm waiting for any questions, submitted a written report.
I like your report.
I read your report, Tim. Very well done.
And I guess Tommy's not here for wastewater.
No, Tommy had a conflict on a Tuesday night, so I did not find out about that till late today, I apologize.
You went through finance, Rincon Golf. Ms. Tara?
Ms. Taylor.
Come on.
Mr. Joe.
Joe?
They're trying- One of them's gotta go first.
Okay.
You'll ask Joe more questions. He's got a lot more going on than I do right now.
Good afternoon, evening.
Yep.
So we'll be fertilizing wall to wall Monday. I did a spray out of all the weeds, which we got some backlash on. But, because we're fertilizing, that'll help fill in the Bermuda. I sprayed out all the weeds in the rough and, but we've sprigged the greens, that's going along good. Tomorrow will be 5 weeks they've been planted, and, I'm happy with most of the progress on that. So hopefully 2 to 3 more weeks, we'll be back playing on decent greens. Anything else?
I wanna say something. At 6:52 in the morning, my bus comes through there and here comes Joe's. I said, that man starts early.
Usually 6:30 we're there.
Yeah.
Joe, do you wanna let them know about the conversation about the millings?
Yes, I talked to Brent today.
Okay.
And, it'll be delivered tomorrow about mid-morning, he said.
Yep.
His driver has my number, and I was gonna put it in my gate, so it's out of the way and everything, and.
Wherever you want to put it.
Okay. And I'll have it delivered inside the fence.
Okay, on 16, did y'all purposely spray an
Yes, ma'am.
area? Okay,
That
that's
was
what
the
I thought, because
centipede
people are
and-
like, what's going on with the grass? And
Yes,
I'm like,
ma'am. The
that
centipede
looks
was
like it's.
encroaching onto the
Yeah.
Bermuda.
Okay.
And we're spraying it out, and we'll be reseeding some of the area, but most of it still has Bermuda, so when we do fertilize, it will take off and just be Bermuda grass.
Okay.
And Joe and I had a conversation, I forget what morning it was, I called you, we had a conversation about just making sure that we communicate that.
Right.
Whenever we have it, that way the questions will come down for us, cause I got like 3 back-to-back calls and I said, you know what, I'm gonna ask Joe. And, so, you know, whenever something like drastic like that occurs, then it's easy to have that conversation. But I did run into those guys and talk to them, you know, after I spoke with Joe and the conversation went great. I told them that they need to reach out to Joe and, you know, on today.
Right.
I told them to reach out and get with him and just let him tell you what we're doing. But, you know, people are kinda shocked. You see Facebook postings, but what I want everybody to understand is, you know, when we went into this thing, we said, we're gonna take the time and we're going to try to do everything that we can do in a certain period. And so when Joe and I spoke and he said, you know, June 26th, July 1st, you know, we're gonna be on track with some things. I wanted to make sure, hey, let's go ahead and do everything that we're gonna do. If we're gonna make it, if it's gonna be bad, let it be bad for that time period.
Right.
And then, you know, fairways included, everything. So I think that's the message that's out now and everybody understands whether they like it or not.
Well, people are gonna complain.
Right.
People never say, oh, it's fabulous, you're doing a good job. They just like to complain.
Yeah.
Hopefully when they see the end product, they will. That's
Yeah.
usually what happens.
That's the key.
Yes,
It's
but
complaints,
we
complaints.
appreciate everything you're doing, and
Yes,
thank you
ma'am.
for coming out yesterday. It's
Yeah,
a
turning those
holiday,
on.
but we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming out. It's
Yeah, we had a
totally-
couple of leaking out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
On number 10.
All right. Ms. Terrence?
And I don't know if they'll be positive, but it'll get really quiet.
Sometimes that's the best thing.
Right.
That's right.
The good news is, since his sprigging, there's been a little change in play. It's been full. I checked the numbers, I checked, the month of May this year compared to last year. This year up to today, we have 2,079 rounds, and last year it was 2,064. So,
So even with the sprigging and the temporary greens,
Yep.
we're up year
Yeah.
over year.
Yeah.
In the weekly monsoons, we seem to get.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
We had 9 inches of rain within 12 days there.
wow.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's good. We have 123 members, so that's 10 new members during his sprigging. So I thought we wouldn't have any, so I'm excited.
That's good.
We have a vent session about every morning where we
Yeah.
just
That's
let it
good.
all
I'd pull
out.
my hair out if it wasn't for her now.
I mean, we understand each other, and what, you know, it's a lot, we have a lot of bosses, it feels like.
So yeah, that's going good. As far as inside, we inventoried everything in the pro shop, which had not been done before. Everything has a tag. We shoot it with a gun. When somebody, buys it, takes it right out, you know, it's like modern day.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
good.
we
So
don't
we
have
were
to go-
paying for touchscreen technology.
Not using it.
And we had dial-up.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where we were.
And we've had that gun, that pricing gun, but it had never been used, so, we're using it now. And so I was able to look today at inventory. I didn't have to go out and count shirts. But we purchased inventory from a new vendor. It was like 64 items. It was shirts and hats, that's all it was. We got that on May the 3rd. 64 items. As of today, we have sold 38 of those.
Wow. I love the
64.
cool shirts you have now.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a hit,
They're
they're a
nice.
hit, so we're
They
excited
are.
about that. The new website is being done, it's coming along, it should be done the next few weeks, I think. And the doors are supposed to be installed on Thursday, thank God. Because twice this week, the alarm went off because of
Yeah,
the door, so, I got that call today, so,
good. On both?
yes.
Good. Very good.
Yep.
All right.
I'm excited, thank you.
Anything
Thank
else?
y'all.
Thanks.
Anything
Thank
else?
y'all.
Nothing.
All right, I had something.
The police department.
One more.
Oh.
Yeah, we already asked.
Yeah,
No, I already asked
him.
him.
I was just testing.
I was just
Yeah,
asking.
did you see the look on his face?
All right,
Whatever
Burgundy.
you want, I got
I
it.
know, that's what
All right, Burgundy.
All right, I just wanna put this out there to everybody on Facebook or whatever. The library has great things going on, great things. My children always did the summer reading program. They have that and much more. So please check out what's going on at the library. Y'all will be very surprised. They have a bunch of good stuff.
Can we get that stuff on City Connect? Cause I know some of it involves them knowing about lunches and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a whole
I think they're doing breakfast and
calendar
lunches
of
throughout
Yeah,
the
of
we-
summer.
stuff.
and I don't know what the library, I don't get emails from the library, so if I'll get on that list and we can start promoting it on.
Or
there.
take that
We'll
book
get
and
you
go,
a,
try to
we'll get you a copy of
preload.
this.
Yeah.
All right, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
pass that to Delcia.
Yeah, we absolutely,
And
we
then
put it on our
maybe
Facebook
maybe we
page.
can preload or whatever and hit it on the day before so that people know.
I-
QR code.
We do have the ability to schedule messages.
Okay, that'd
Yeah.
be perfect.
Yeah.
Give people time to prepare for it and go.
Absolutely.
Anybody else up here?
We do,
Anything?
and we do have the need for executive session.
Yes.
for litigation.
Okay.
All right. Got a motion in order for executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Blackwell, a second by Ms. Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank y'all for coming.
Great job.
Yeah.
Yes.
How are you? Good, how are you?
Daniel Rowe.
Oh, hi.